Hello and welcome everyone to one of the most exciting shows. This is a political show today. I'm Suzette Speaks, TV host and attorney. It is one of the best shows you will find on YouTube, may I add. I am going to talk about what happened last night in the US House of Representatives. I live for moments like this when it comes to politics. If you guys don't know, I'm a real big political. I like following what's going on in state and local, and of course, U.S. national politics. And last night, I say tonight because I was up till 2 in the morning, y'all. Last night was one of the most exciting nights in U.S. politics in a very, very long time. After a grueling week of 15 straight votes over 4 days, the Speaker of the House was named, and Kevin McCarthy got what he finally wanted. I don't know if he'll be able to lead effectively, because he gave up a lot, you guys. And we're going to talk about what this means for the U.S. House of Representatives. Are we going to see a different group other than the Speaker leading this caucus? The Republicans had to acquiesce, had to give up so much ground to some far right, fringe, people would say, radical, even some would add, members of their caucus, members like Lauren Boebert, members like Matt Gaetz, others who basically came along kicking and screaming. And at the 11th hour, really, it was 12 something after midnight Eastern time. Finally, I think it was 1:13 in the morning officially, Kevin McCarthy became Speaker of the House. Now, if you follow politics like I do, this is your show. This is Suzette Speaks, y'all. I want to welcome you. I'm excited to talk about what Speaker, because is he truly going to even be able to lead? Is he going to be able to govern? He has had to basically give the clothes off of his back to get his caucus to fall in line. Yes, the Republicans are supposedly, I don't know if they're together, but they are the majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. It is the body of 435 members that each represent equal-sized districts across our country. But it seems like a few of a Republican kind of contingent have an outsized influence on what's going to happen. There was a melee. No, there wasn't no melee. Let me just say there was a lot of back and forth bantering about. I'm going to tell you about one representative from Alabama who looked like he wanted to stick it to, like physically lunged at some of those holdouts, the Republicans who were sitting on the sidelines, not giving Kevin McCarthy the votes, in order to kind of convince them through physical means as to what they needed to do and how fast they needed to do it, because they had been there all week and still no speaker. But yes, you guys, it's official finally after a long week of politicking. Kevin McCarthy earned the role of Speaker of the House. But again, how long will he last is the question. So welcome one and all watching around the world. I'm Suzette Speaks, TV host and attorney from here in Miami, simulcasting today on this beautiful Saturday on Jamaicans.com. Every Saturday on their Facebook page, they allow me to share my broadcast there because they know, I guess, one thing about Jamaicans, they love politics. That's the truth. And they stay engaged no matter if it's local there or around the world. So if you're watching on the Suzette Speaks YouTube channel, welcome. We have a juicy show for you. I'm going to drop the link so you can come on for this open mic session talking about what happened in the wee hours of the morning last night. Kevin McCarthy somehow pulled it off. Some doubted many times throughout this vote that he would get as far as he has and earn the seat. You guys know, if you don't know who Kevin McCarthy is, he is a Republican U.S. House member from the great state of California. He has been the majority whip, meaning the person that gathers votes and has to do a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to corralling 200 odd people from your side to get on board with a bill. So for anything to get passed, you need a certain amount of votes for it to leave the committee. Right? They have committee hearings first, then committees decide what hits the House floor. And then once it gets to the House floor, you have to get a majority of the votes. So in that role, he made a lot of enemies. He made people very uncomfortable when he was trying to get people to buy into the vision of passing some very difficult legislation in the past. But then it came to his turn to step forward. He is the probably most visibly active member of leadership remaining in the House. Many lost real elections. Several of his counterparts that he first came in with are no longer even in the Congress. But with that role of whip, he made a few uh, mistakes. Some people say he was more like a bully, others couldn't stand him. And we're going to find out why. So I want to welcome you guys. If you're watching online, please drop a comment. I see my folks in the chat. If you're watching Team Replay, hit the like button. Suzette Speaks here in a beautiful mood. A little tired, I'm not going to lie, because I did watch it to the very end last night. But we're going to fill you in with all the details. Where the rumble in the jungle almost took place. Again, a representative from the state of Alabama wanted to nuck if you buck. If you know the song, you know what I'm trying to say. And so many other highlights about who really has the influence in the U.S. House. So we're going to ask you what you think in just a moment. I just want to welcome you. Hit the like button. If you're watching on Facebook, you can come on over to YouTube. Find me. Just look up Suzette Speaks. And if you look up that name, you'll find my channel. I do fantastic shows a few times a week. Monday, I have a fantastic show coming up about a young man, unfortunately, who lost his life in Buffalo. His family wants answers, and it's going to be more like a law and crime show about a young man named Tyler Lewis. That's Monday at 7. Tuesday, I have a special guest coming up. It's going to be talking about the Haitian influence and the Haitian culture in Miami. If you're from down here like me, you know this is a real melting pot of a lot of different influence. And in the Black diaspora, we have so many different islands and countries represented here in Miami. And one of the most prominent is Haitian American influence. So I can't wait to have my special guest on Tuesday. And again, to find out about all these shows, guys, go over to YouTube and hit the subscribe button so you'll know. But yeah, we almost had a Waffle House fight, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie. It was really, really ugly. At the end of this vote, I thought, again, this was gonna be a moment that would go down in infamy. But they held him back. You'll see him there. I'm going to talk about him in a little bit. But yeah, let me blow it up so y'all can see the literal face grab that was done for Representative Rogers out of Alabama. He had enough. He was walking up on Mr. Matt Gaetz, one of the, again, culprits, or some would say ideologues, who did not want to give any space for compromise. He got so much out of the speaker so that it almost seems as if the speaker will not have the power to actually do his or her job, as we will see with Mr. McCarthy. But if you're here, come on and say hello. That is Matt Gaetz on the left there. Some say Matt Gaetz is actually the de facto speaker. We're going to figure out why. But Mr. McCarthy on the right there had the opportunity and finally pulled it out after a grueling week of 15 straight votes. And we're going to say hi to the folks and come on in, guys, as we get ready to talk a little politics today. Again, one of my favorite topics, but it has, again, this week was so unique in terms of how it all went down. And we're going to do a little kind of flashback and then hear what you have to say about what the next 2 years under the Republican majority in the U.S. House of Representatives is going to look like. But before we do, let's say hello to some folks watching around the world. Y'all drop a comment, please. Hit the like button. Do me a favor. Let other folks know that we're watching. Hit like. Come on into the stream, and I hope you will engage in this discussion. Welcome, Terrell. How are you, Key? He's also a fantastic YouTuber. He said they made Kevin. Now I should say Speaker McCarthy. I should say it properly. Mr. McCarthy looks so bad. I thought they would keep going. Sir, you're not the only one. I really thought this was not going to be done this week. I thought we were going to go into the next week without a speaker. And of course, that means none of the business of the House could take place. One of the first orders mandated in our Constitution is that the speaker has to be elected first. And then the business of swearing in all the representatives and then assigning committees and then moving forward on House business can take place. Hit the like button, you guys, as you come on in. But yeah, it was kind of scary. You got to remember the Speaker of the House is really important in terms of the succession of what happens if the president becomes unable to govern. If the president becomes incapacitated, you got president first, then it would fall to, if the president became incapacitated, the vice president, and then the speaker. This is a huge position, right? They are second after the vice president in this line of succession if something were to happen to our president. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what happened to Mr. McCarthy, all the drama. And yes, there was a lot of drama going on the House floor. If you didn't watch it live like I did, don't worry. I'm going to give you a quick recap and some predictions coming up for what it's going to look like in the U.S. House of Representatives. But welcome around, my fantastic moderator, one of the finest moderators here on YouTube, always supporting me and in the building, letting people know where they can find me. She says hit the like button, and Pennsylvania is in the building. Welcome. I see you, Bubble. Oh, you like it. Thank you. I want it to be bright blue today because, again, such interesting back and forth. Ultimately, like I said, Kevin McCarthy ended up with a smile on his face and a thumbs up. But this was not an easy week for him, you guys. He had to fight for this. And he almost had to give literally the shirt off his back. Someone said, I heard a commentator say, Kevin McCarthy should just show up naked because he gave away all his house, all his clothes, everything he could to become speaker. And I want to ask you that question, you guys. When is it worth literally selling almost every principle out for power? And there are people that take issue with this. Was this about Mr. McCarthy's own ambition, or was it about the best interest of the body and therefore the country? There are some people that say, some things are not worth, the ultimate sacrifice. What are you willing to give up really to get what you want? And when is it too much to give up in order to get these votes? But he gave up a lot, you guys. We're going to talk a little bit about what he gave up and how it's going to affect him in the long term. Faraji, big up my brother Faraji. He is the host of a fantastic show, guys. I've been telling you about it, where I am a guest contributor each and every Wednesday from 3 to 5 p.m. over there on the Roland Martin Network. Yes, guys, it's a big deal. I hope you guys will come over and support. I posted yesterday's show, fantastic show, by the way. Talked a little bit about some of the topic that we're going to talk about today, but he does wonderful shows on current events, politics, trending stories, so that we can understand their impact on the culture. And that's the name of the show, The Culture with Faraji Muhammad. So if you want to check out more wonderful conversations, come check me out each and every Wednesday as I join Faraji on that platform, Roland Martin's Black Star Network. Just look up Roland Martin or go to my community page on YouTube. Go over to YouTube, y'all, if y'all watching on Facebook. He says, right, great question. Will he truly be able to govern with all this headway and headwind he experienced? He had to give up a lot. Basically, for example, one person, one single member now. It used to be 5 in past House proceedings. Every time there is a new speaker, you adopt rules, right? And one of the House rules that this renegade bunch of, I should say, right-wing politicians, one of the ones that they wanted was that one person, only one member, can bring up a motion to vacate. And what does that mean? That basically says only one person is needed to ask for a vote to remove the speaker. So there are many people speculating, guys, that not only is that going to slow down the business of the House, basically anybody getting upset can now move. I move to vacate the speaker. Let's have a vote. And it also probably guarantees that Mr. McCarthy will not see the end of the 2-year term. So will this be a weapon either used by, and some people were saying Democrats. I was like, this is not going to be used by Democrats. I think it'll be used by more likely his own party. But again, anybody, Democrat or Republican, can make a motion to vacate at any time, right? And they don't need a consensus. They don't need more than one representative in the House to do so. So his job is going to be much tougher, you guys. He is under a lot of pressure. But I think he is also very relieved because no one thought, I'm telling you, by the first vote where there were 20 holdouts to where he got 6 people almost at midnight last night to vote present. And I'll tell you what that means. It wasn't even a yes vote or a no vote. They just voted as here so that he needed less votes in terms of the total threshold to win is the only way he was able to do it, converting some of these folks from no's to present votes. Okay, we're here, but we're not going to vote yay or nay. Interesting stuff, guys. I hope you are ready for a wonderful discussion. Welcome again. Check me out on The Culture each and every Wednesday with Faraji Muhammad. But Why is this so interesting? Well, listen, in Congress's 200-year history, the fact is there has only been 14 instances in which it took more than 2 ballots to confirm the House Speaker. The last one before Mr. McCarthy was exactly 100 years ago. And at that time, it took 9 rounds of votes to resolve that battle. So when people are asking, is this a big deal? Absolutely. It is historic. He is probably now in the top 5 most contested speaker elections in history. The top 4 landed around the Civil War in terms of the 1850s, 1855, 1859, right before the beginning of the Civil War in 1861. So imagine that 1859, this is when our country was on the verge of civil war, is when it took 133 votes for that Speaker of the House that year. So he's in the top 5, you guys. We haven't seen this in 100 years. And again, it was almost a miracle that Mr. McCarthy did pull it out and get to a place where, yep, we will vote for you. We will vote present so that you can get the amount of votes needed to finally become speaker. Okay, 5 long days, you guys, and here we are. So what are your thoughts about this? Please let me know. Leave a comment. I want you to let me know what you thought about the renegades, the holdouts, the people who some say are really running the show. Okay, yes, this is going to be a predictor of what it's going to be like for this speaker or anybody who holds the speakership in the next 2 years while Republican Congress folks have the majority. Who is really in charge? How much is the speaker going to be able to keep his or her caucus in check, right? There's no check right now. The people are checking him, right? These representatives that we're going to talk about are checking him and keeping him in line. We got a lot to talk about. Welcome, guys. Good day, says Quincy, West Coast in the building. Good to see you. Queen Regina, how you doing, sis? She says, Happy New Year, my darling. McCarthy is the House Speaker in name only. Yes, I'm going to show you who I think the House Speaker is. Ready? Yes, this guy right here. This is Matt Gaetz, congressman from the panhandle of Florida. I think it's like Fort Walton Beach up that way. This guy, this was his moment, y'all. This was his moment. We're going to talk about Matt Gaetz. Oh boy. He had a lot to do with the holdups, with the holdouts, the folks who refuse to give in and vote for a now Speaker McCarthy. He led the 20 originally no votes. He was a part of the critical negotiations that led to what was a final acceptance of, or at least a passage of the speaker. He has had, I think, the best week. If y'all want to know who the speaker is, this might be him, because he is a tough, hardline right wing member of the Republican Party, and he has pushed Mr. McCarthy in so many ways. There was a commentator that said they overheard Mr. Gaetz say something to the effect of, and I'm paraphrasing, that, oh, there's nothing more for me to ask for, so I'm good now. So can you imagine that type of power where you have forced a speaker into a corner such that he's literally given away the kitchen sink in terms of the rules and who gets to be on committees, who gets to be on committee chairs? These are important decisions, right? Because those committees determine who's going to be investigated, where in the government is investigated. They also determine who brings what, again, to, like I said, the general floor for a vote, what bills make it out of the committees, out of the committee hearings, to the entire body for a vote and passage. There's so much power that was given up, guys. I am really frustrated, almost as frustrated as the gentleman that almost let Mr. Gaetz have it at the last minute. The representative that met him down the aisle, this gentleman, oh boy, he had to be held back, you guys. It was such a, oh my goodness. It was I saw it live. This picture gives you a better angle. But when I watched it initially, I was just kind of like, who is this guy and why are they grabbing him up on the neck? Come in and hit the like button, you guys. We're going to talk about Mr. McCarthy. Can Kevin McCarthy lead the Republicans as Speaker of the House? Is it really his house? Absolutely not. When we look at some of the concessions he's had to make, when we look at some of the people who have become basically the winners, or the I would call it like the showstoppers, literally. This was one of those moments where I think I will not forget that Matt Gaetz was actually being approached by this gentleman from Mr. Rogers from Alabama, who looked like he was going to square up with this guy if he got any closer. And then you see Representative Hudson from North Carolina pulling him back. But yeah, Mike Rogers had a stern warning, and before he could get to him, he was held back, and you could see the little bit of like discomfort. The gentleman across the aisle, that they were really frightened for a second. People stood up in their seats. Everybody's like, "What's going on? Fight, fight!" Like it wasn't like schoolyard. But some commented who were there seemed more like almost like a bar fight that was about to start. Like knuckle up. Are we this country, guys? Is this going to show us what it's going to be like under a Republican control House? Will they get the people's business done? Are we going to have people that hold out on bills that are important, as in the debt ceiling bill, our U.S. budget, the budget for the country, funding the country? Will these same outliers, the far right, get their way? We'll see. We'll see. So welcome everyone. Hit the like button. I see you guys in the comments. Puppery or I see it like puppetry. I see you, Aiden. Yes. Hey, Sandy B. Law. Sandy's like, hey, I watched the whole thing, girl. It was really quite remarkable. I was like, am I like an old person? I'm watching all these votes. I'm doing my work. I'm watching the vote. It was just so enthralling. You just didn't know in that final vote, right before it, on the 14th vote, it seemed like, Mr. McCarthy kept saying he had the numbers, and we didn't see the numbers, bruh. And then he had to go back and change his vote. There was a motion to adjourn until Monday. And then all of a sudden, it looked like Mr. Gaetz got everything he wanted. Mr. McCarthy runs up to the clerk's desk, says, no, do not adjourn. I changed my vote for not to adjourn. We're going to cast another vote. That was almost 11 p.m., y'all. So the votes changed. The nominations were reopened. And again, for the 15th time, he was nominated along with Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader for the Democrats. So it was really kind of nail biting until he got to the mark 216 votes. And again, that's something that was not easy to do. It's remarkable that we're actually here able to talk about it. But yeah, I want you to leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the folks that held the process hostage. There were some interesting characters. There were calls made by President Trump to members of what they're calling the Freedom Caucus. A lot of people know them as the Tea Party, kind of remnants that have morphed into what's being called the Freedom, quote unquote, Caucus. But what should be their role going forward? Should they have as much power as they have now shown they have? Are they going to keep flexing, you guys, on Mr. McCarthy starting on Monday when they're on these committees and serving as committee chairs? Hit the like button as you come in. I want to see what you have to say. I'll read a few more comments. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy New Year's if I haven't seen you. Glad to have everybody here. Thank you, Sandy B. Happy New Year's to you too, my darling. But yeah, lots to talk about. Queen Regina says McCarthy put himself over the country. Now, Miss Regina, Queen, a lot of people said, was this a move based on vain ambition? It was all about Mr. McCarthy wanting to get in that big old office with that beautiful balcony. Mind you, and it is customary, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It is customary that the new speaker, or who for the last 100 years, the presumed speaker, because they usually whip the votes, meaning they got their votes in order. They know, let me tell you who wouldn't go to the floor without knowing how much vote she had. Let me just tell you, this makes this lady, look even more incredible. This lady right here would not touch a vote. Hit the like button as you come in without knowing her numbers were already there. Her committed people were already saying, yes, I vote for this. No, I will not vote for this. She didn't bring legislation to the floor without knowing. So when I think about the legacy, and we'll go into Nancy Pelosi's legacy, she made it look like child's play when it actually is a very, very, very difficult job, y'all. It is something that, again, she was very skilled at. I think her leadership style was collaborative as opposed to more top down, as I see with Mr. McCarthy, get in line or else. And then he finally got many folks who just wouldn't get in line. So what do? They're not ashamed. You used to be able to use shame and get people in line, y'all, and say to folks, nope, I'll run other people in your district. He took that off the table. Excuse me. He's not involved officially with the decisions of the House PACs that fund the speakers pact, that funds local elections and supports local candidates. He literally took that off the table. Via his pact. The House Speaker has a fundraising pact that funds certain people in the district. And the holdouts, the renegades, wanted guarantees that the Speaker would not get involved in pushing other candidates, more establishment candidates in the districts. That's huge. He made that concession right before this vote. And it is a huge concession because a lot of what happened is because we have people who make it through primaries that probably are not concerned with governing. They have a whole lot of bluster when it comes to, we don't like the swamp. We want to drain the swamp. We don't, no government as usual. But they usually don't also have platform issues that they want to fight for. Some people are upset with the system, but don't have any solutions to offer. And it makes it very, very difficult to govern. So we're going to talk a little bit about those holdouts. If you want to support the stream, be sure to hit the like button. We're going to talk about these two right here, who, again, have outsized influence. Matt Gaetz, we already spoke of him, but Marjorie Taylor Greene, whooping it up, trying to conceive a plan that would get Mr. McCarthy in the door. This is They had it's people named that we would never know, guys, that have become front and center since this race. It was really kind of confounding to me how much power just a small group of representatives had throughout this process. And is that really going to slow down the business of the House? It's really important to understand, guys, this does not happen in a vacuum. Oh, yeah, we finally got the speaker. No. Now we have to govern. Now we have to find consensus in so many ways. Let's read the chat and see what we got going on. Welcome, everybody. I see you guys. Welcome. Let's see. Thank you so much, RM. I appreciate you always looking out. Yes, I come on with Faraji Muhammad every Wednesday, 3 to 5 Eastern, now on the Roland Martin channel, y'all. That's a big deal, y'all. Come check me out. Check out my community tab. I'll post, and I have posted past shows. My man Links, Wagwan, Suzette, and family. That's just Jamaican way of saying family, y'all. Wagwan family, Happy New Year to you, brother. Haven't seen you. Hope you're good. Happy New Year to you and yours. Hope the 2023 is less, I guess, exciting than the speaker race, but still a blessing nonetheless. Good to have you. Let's see. Life of Cash. Well, go on, my brother. Good to see you. He says, Kevin McCarthy negotiated for title of ship captain, except he won't even be allowed on the boat. Bop, bop, bop. Shaking my head. Speaker in name only. So you agree with Queen Regina? Yes. It seems as if, again, he's given away too much to be an effective leader. And again, the question I have for you, and drop a comment, y'all, as you come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Can Kevin McCarthy be an effective leader of his Republican parties and now of the United States House of Representatives, now that he has had to give away so much leverage to what is being called the House Freedom Caucus, right? These very far right almost, burn down the house individuals. We don't really have a plan, but we can't stand this house, and we're gonna, make sound bites and look tough to our constituents and be the best at the PR side of it. But what can they really do to move the American people and our country forward if they will not cooperate, if they will not compromise in any way? And if it's going to take giving them literally the boat, the kitchen sink, as Life of Cash put it, is it even worth it? We're gonna find out really quickly, you guys. Talking about Kevin McCarthy having the time of his life, having been faced with 5 days now of opposition, took 4 whole days to get elected, 15 rounds of voting because of individuals on the far right fringe of his party literally holding him hostage, holding the speaker hostage. It is so crazy to see the outcome, but what it cost him is even more important. Let me see what else you guys have to say. Yes, the next fight, you're so right, Life of Cash. The rules. How are the rules of the House going to be set up? Basically, they have to agree on the Robert's rules or rules of order in order to conduct business. How many people are going to be able to vote on things and where and how, who sits on what committees, etc. This is going to be a fight down to tooth and nail. If this was the fight to begin with, budget, absolutely. Working with the Dems to get 218 when holdouts rebelled, yes. So you have a very far right contingent, but you might be able to work with the Democrats. But would it be better for moderate Republicans to go across the aisle to work with Dems, or try to get these 20 folks, give or take, to be on board and have to negotiate with them? It's going to be ugly and a very, very tense next 2 years. Good question. Rockstone, welcome. Happy New Year to you, says Suzette. Is Hakeem Jeffries, first of all, big up my brother Hakeem Jeffries, Brooklyn, well represented. When he gave his speech last night, when I was super tired, y'all, and still up listening to the speeches, I thought, whoa, so fluid, so confident. The way he acknowledged Nancy Pelosi, the way he acknowledged the real reason why we elect these members of the House, what value system they should bring when they go onto the floor, when they are in committees, when they're trying to conduct the people's business. I was really impressed. And I know the brother is sharp now. I knew he was sharp. But listening to him last night, I was like, okay, Hakeem Jeffries, okay, do your thing, bro. I don't know. He was quite impressive. I think it was a wonderful introduction for him to the American people, because we're going to see him a lot on television when these crazy bills come forward in the next 2 years, either opposing or defending his position when it comes to what's being introduced on the floor. But I think the Democrats did a great job in nominating him over and over 15 straight times, always lockstep, in line together, voted for him as the first Black person to be nominated by a major party to be the Speaker of the House. Now, we're going to talk about Mr. Byron Donalds. The Republicans also had an African-American man they nominated too. We're going to get to Mr. Byron Donalds in a second. And what was that all about? Let's talk about it, right? Mr. Jeffries, I think, is a strong contender. I do not know, Rockstone. I haven't gotten that far. I'm just thinking about how much they're going to have to deal with as we look at what happened. This guy muscling up Matt Gaetz, y'all. Is he the real Speaker of the House, Matt Gaetz? Some say he is. Outsized influence 20 people had on the process. So much so that they had people walking up and down the aisles, upset, wanting to face off with them at the very end of the night. Tempers were running very high. Again, I'll show you what happened with Alabama Representative Rogers. Mike Rogers wanted to give Matt Gaetz a piece of his mind and a little more. Oh my goodness. I don't want to laugh because we don't play those games. I thought we don't play those games here. But yeah, it was a mess because of 20 people holding firm. Now, maybe there's a lesson there for some of us. When you hold firm and your caucus has to come back and catch up to you, listen to you, what happens? I don't know. Matt Gaetz, your muscles may not be the biggest, but you got the biggest cojones of where we're looking at. I mean, he held his position and they got what they wanted. That's the thing, y'all. He really, really held firm, and Kevin McCarthy couldn't get the numbers. He had to give in. Democrats weren't going to come save you. You created this. Y'all created this. You affirmed people on the fringes. Many of these people are being accused of being involved in January 6th, and we had the same vote 2 years later to the day where many of the folks who were voting are some would say, implicated in what happened. And we're looking for them to have the answers. Let's go. I want to hear what you have to say, you guys. Yes. Hold me back, fam. I'm going to give Gaetz the bottom of the life of cash. Listen, Mr. Rogers, it was Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. I don't want to laugh. It's not funny. I don't promote violence. But that thing was crazy. When the camera cut away, I was like, no, go back. Did anybody else see that? His homeboy draped him up by the face, hold back. He was ready to give him a piece of his mind. It was quite, daunting. Watching it live? Yes. Let's see. Kenneth Welcome says, you need power only when you want to commit atrocities. Force and power always attracts men of low morality. Interesting take. Otherwise, love and kindness is enough to lead and get things done. Charlie Chaplin. Ooh. So you only want power, you believe, when you want to do something negative. Interesting. Thank you for the quote. Andrew, Happy New Year. Andrew, walk in the building, New York, hands high. Let's go. Reese, the dragon, says, you know what? Don't bring up that Pelosi. Why can't I bring up Nancy? Nancy could whip them votes. Nancy didn't have no problem getting her numbers in order. You mad? Reese, you got to give this woman credit. Maybe you didn't agree with her politics, but you got to give her credit. She kept order, right? There was a system in place that people followed. People had shame. People respected her, right? People wouldn't be holding out just for holdout sakes. They were willing to compromise, whether they agreed or disagreed. They worked with her. She challenged when you needed her to. She backed down, but she mostly, stuck to her principles. Mr. McCarthy, what we got now? What are the principles that he stuck to? Yeah, I don't know, Reese. You might want to come in and defend your point. Andrew says the Republicans are split and broken. I am looking for a third party. Interesting. A third party spoiler to evolve. Okay. Yes. Come on in, guys. Welcome. Barry says, hey, Happy New Year. Nice to have you, Barry Hamilton. Good to see you, brother. Happy New Year. Yes, let me tell you, this is what I'm talking about. You might not like her. You might not be a Nancy fan. But one thing Nancy could do was whip them votes. Same thing with Biden. They can get, when I say get the whip, it's a colloquial term when it comes to Congress, really getting people in line or bringing people over to your side who will vote for you. You whip them. I don't know why I don't know if that, does that have any kind of other origins? I don't know where it comes from. I'm going to look it up now, but she could whip them votes for real and get people in line and agreeing, down to the final points. What do you need in this bill to pass it? I'll take this out. I'll put this in. I'll agree to give you this in exchange for that. Ooh, deal maker for sure. And could get bills passed, get the job done. We're going to see what Mr. McCarthy has up his sleeve. I don't know if he has anything left. He's given away all the power. It is like what they call like a decentralized power now. The power is not in the speaker's office, is now in the body, but not even in the entire body equally. To me, you have people who have much more outsized influence than they should have, like these two, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz. They're going to be calling the shots, not Mr. McCarthy. If you disagree with me, I'm going to come through. The muscle up picture is really, really, really indicative of who he thinks is running the place. Is he running the place? Am I wrong? Is Matt Gaetz not now one of the most influential people? Life of Cash says GOP needs a new enemy dog catches the car. Okay. Kenneth says when professionalism, let me read this, is lacking, there is a slow drift downwards toward mediocrity. I agree. Dossiers become full of trite and lifeless information and incapable of opening up lofty perspectives, which in turn adversely affect the stability of the country. Okay, Pope Francis, that's heavy. That's meaningful though. Thank you for sharing this. When professionalism lacking, there's a slow drift towards mediocrity. Dossiers become full of trite and lifeless information and incapable of opening up lofty perspectives, which in turn adversely affects the stability of the country. Well said. Wow. Yeah, okay. You're right. Because it was a tight house. This is true with Nancy. As Speaker Pelosi, let me put respect to her name. Yeah, they passed 7 significant laws. Listen, Biden knows how to whip votes. Mrs. Pelosi knew how to whip votes, get those votes in line, and get stuff passed. Right? Wow. So we'll see if they can do it. I doubt it. Let's see. Life of Cash says new enemies needed. Freedom Caucus are fighting McCarthy and the ghost of former Speaker Pelosi. Interesting. New enemies needed. Freedom Caucus are fighting McCarthy and the ghost of Speaker Pelosi. So the things that she stood for, let me drop the link. Anybody want to come up and chat and let me know their perspectives on today's show? Please come through. I'm going to write in the chat, join the convo, because you guys have so much interesting perspective. Shout out to my speakers. Anybody who is subscribed to my channel is known as a Suzette Speaks speaker, because I like to hear what your perspectives are, right? Speak up, speak out. It's kind of cool to listen to and have a good conversation with those watching. And if you're just listening, shout out to you. Hit the like button, team replay. Going to read a few more comments. And if you want to come on up, you can do so. Just click that link and you'll come up on the stage with me and chat to me a little bit about how you feel about what happened to Mr. McCarthy over the last 4 days. Didn't even get into Lauren Boebert, this lady. Sidekick to Matt Gaetz. Again, today we're talking about how Kevin McCarthy won finally after 15 votes, thanks to these people who down to the wire last night near midnight and just a bit after finally gave in and voted present. Didn't vote for him, voted present, so that he would have to have less votes total to get to the speaker's office, which he finally did after 15 votes. Such an interesting week, guys, in U.S. political history. They will be teaching this to students, I'm sure. Right? And we'll see in the next 2 years what the outcomes were. Was it really worth it? Let me read a little bit more what you think of what happened. Life of Cash, as the government that governs best governs least. Disruption and dysfunction is the goal. The sizzle is better than the state. Listen, I think that's what a lot of the Freedom Caucus seem to kind of feed off of. A lot of people do agree with this sentiment, Life of Cash, because it seems as if you are ready for the fight. You are ready to knuckle up. We're not doing this. We don't want anybody. Never Kevins was what they were calling them. So if you never want Kevin, who do you really want? They said they wanted Mr. Byron Donalds. Let me find Mr. Byron Donalds. Because this right here, this gentleman right here, oh, my brother was pushed up front like he was going to save the day in an attempt, I believe, looked like a ploy because the Democrats had an African-American man at the helm, like as if they wanted to throw someone because they were African-American. Now, you might disagree. That was the reasoning. Someone asked, why didn't they put him up front? Why didn't they nominate him right off top if he was so ready and so qualified and the leader that they wanted? Well, he had run already for leadership positions within the Republican Congressional Caucus and was not elected. But all of a sudden, they found this gentleman. He is from Florida. You know, it had to do with Florida. Out here, the southwestern part of the state, Estero, Naples, Fort Myers, southwest part where we just had that devastating hurricane. He's in a district that is heavily covering retiree areas. So there he was, Mr. Byron Donalds, went to FAMU from Brooklyn originally, came down to Florida for school, not unusual. I ended up graduating from FSU, and started his life as a Tea Partier. He was first in the Florida legislature, rocking with the Tea Party, wanted everything, super conservative, and didn't get elected to Congress the first time. Tried again, got in, and all of a sudden, you the man of the hour, sir. He look, he looked like he was front and center. Y'all hit the like button, please, as you come in. And then I had commentators while I was on Roland Martin yesterday said this man actually looked scared some of the time when Bolbert and them was gassing him up to participate. And it almost seemed as if this was kind of gimmicky. Like, okay, we have Black dynamic leaders too. Well, I'm glad. I want there to be Black dynamic leaders on both sides. But don't give me one just because you feel like you got to match what the Democrats are doing, who you wouldn't have ordinarily nominated anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Oh, I see you in the back, Reese. How are you? I'll bring you up in just a second. Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Happy to see everyone. Yes. Barry says an extraordinary event in the House of Republicans. Watching it from Great Britain. Big up yourself. Happy New Year. B-Row Hammer. Happy New Year, darling. Glad to have you so much. Loving the chat. Thank you for watching. Open mic. Just talking about what just took place. The historic election of Kevin McCarthy and what it took to get him there and how he'll feel hopefully governing, if that's what you want to call it, in the next 2 years. DMX, the rat, the cat, the nut, the dog. How you gonna get them if you've ever been in the small? I don't know. The snake. You're supposed to start with the snake. The snake, the cat, the rat, the dog. Okay, is that the DMX song that you're? Okay, I think I know what you're saying. Did you? Thank you. Link says McCarthy was doing some deep crevice kissing and took it with no Vaseline. Oh Lord, just for a title with no power. Listen, Links, as bluntly as you've said that, many agree. Many agree with you. Good afternoon, Miss AKA Lady. Big up yourself. Glad you are here. Queen Regina adds, it may be a blessing. The world will see the behavior of these racist, her language, Freedom Caucus folks. Hey, DL, I see you in the back. For 2 years instead of, listen, instead of January 6th involvement. They are, come on, DOJ. We have some more research to be doing. I'll leave it there. Thank you, Queen. Let me bring up Reese. Well, go on, Reese. How are you?
Do I have an echo?
No, you sound good. How you doing today? Good to see you, brother.
Good. Pretty good.
Were you watching all the mayhem all week, or what was your take on what happened?
Well, I caught the end like late last night. And I'm not as versed in politics as most people, but ever since this chaos started in the past 3 years or so, I've been taking a real good look. And I'm starting to find out that things weren't what I thought they were. Not that I ever cared before. I never even voted before. Never cared about politics, ever, until now. Because in the last 3 years, almost everything that's happened on the earth has never happened before in human history. There's no events or historical nothing you can compare this to. We have the internet now, and we shut down a planet in one day. That's never happened before. And as the planet was shut down, we almost burned it down over a dope addict. So nothing like that has ever happened before in human history either, to where the entire globe reacts to A, B, and C in a day. So I'm looking at what's going on politically and the timing of everything. All of this happened right after Donald Trump beats his case and doesn't get impeached. All of a sudden, the whole planet goes into turmoil. Now there's millions of people sick everywhere. And not only that, the flu mysteriously vanished from the earth. It was just gone. There's not one breathing human on the whole globe can say they met or knew anyone that had the flu for 2 years. Think about it. A lot of weird stuff, right? So I started looking at politics, and I noticed that everything that Nancy Pelosi and her entire team, that's Maxine Waters, the Clintons, and Fauci and the rest of them, Everything they were saying was a lie. And you could look, a fifth grader could research it and figure it out. But for some reason, millions and millions of people went and missed it. And now we're living in hell. Hell that we voted for and we don't even realize it, man. I don't know what to think of it. I'm just so glad that this woman is gone. She stood on that podium with Maxine Waters and the rest of them woke fools and caused so much death and destruction and debt in this country like we've never, ever seen before. And it's sad. We fell for it. Be glad that she's gone. And you better hope that this new dude, McCarthy, can work on getting all of this stuff reversed. Literally everything they've done. Get it reversed. The border, the inflation, all the spending, it all has to go. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Reese. So do you think Mr. McCarthy will be able to do or improve? What do you hope he will accomplish? Like you've mentioned a couple policy parts of where you think Nancy Pelosi went wrong or led the country wrong, in your opinion. What would be the outcomes you would want to see specifically?
Well, I want to see the wall finished. And I want to see Title 42 enforced again. And I want the border shut down like the way it was, the way Trump was trying to do it. Reason why is because a lot of people don't know that 90% of the world's child sex trafficking, I wanted to say that real clearly, happens right there. That's the whole reason why the wall was built in the first place. Not these other reasons that Pelosi has been spitting for the last 6 years, 7 years, and the Clintons and the rest of them. They are liars. Trump said it in his inaugural speech right after he won the election. The whole speech was about stopping child sex trafficking and human trafficking. And pay very close attention to this. After Donald Trump spoke on child trafficking and sex trafficking and all that, Nancy Pelosi stood right behind him on national television and tore his speech into pieces right in his face. I want to know what you think about that.
Oh no, the torn speech heard around the world. That was very, very, what should I say? It was an intentional Moment by Miss Pelosi to try to tell Mr. Trump what she really felt about either what he was saying or him as an individual. But I thank you for sharing where you stand. And I think, again, there are people that may agree or may disagree. I'm going to bring up DL. DL, be careful. I see you in your vehicle. Hold on one second. Let me read a few more. Thank you, Reese, for sharing. You want to stay up here, Reese, and comment a little bit?
Sure, I'll hang out for a little while because I want to be educated too, because I'm not 100% sure about anything I've seen. But all I do know is that speech was about saving children on the earth, a task that not even Jesus or Muhammad took on. And she tore it up. I really want to know what that's about. Why would you tear up a speech about saving children globally? Just saying. Maybe DL can help me out.
That was during the
inaugural speech.
Was it his inaugural or was it I think it was a State of a Union address. It was a State of a Union address.
It might have been that.
Yeah.
The one right after you win.
Yeah. And I think it was his first State of the Union. It was his first State of the Union. Let me read a couple more comments. Thank you, Reese. Big up Hakeem Jeffries. Stand up. Brooklyn Massive. Let's go. Life of Cash says, when you hold a firm position, how do you know if it's courage or foolishness is the question. This is true. We saw a lot of that. People was holding so firm. And it was like, wait a minute. But those who did stand firm got what they wanted, which is the crazy part. Because, again, you have a set of representatives who are much more prone to compromise. And then you have these folks who didn't want to move, but the House couldn't move unless they nominated somebody else and Mr. McCarthy was not giving that up, or they got everything they wanted. So it was really interesting to see what that whole firm meant. Sanana says Byron equals token African-American, his words. Woo! Life of Cash said, it's funny how Kevins never have a problem with Kevin until now. Because guess what? He sent so much money to help them get elected. This is a thing. Kevin McCarthy tried to butter up to this far right wing. all throughout the election cycle, all through after January 6th, stood with them. And then now wants to, I guess, call in the favor. And then they turn their back. That's really unusual for politics. This dude helped you guys. And then now they turn around and we're very not loyal, disloyal to him. Victor says, blessings and welcome. Hit the like button as you're coming in. Talking about what happened with the Speaker of the House. After 14 rounds, 15, he won on the 15th round of votes, fifth longest in history, most since 100 years ago, 1923. Unexpected twist last night, going into the wee hours of the morning, finally getting several of the holdouts. Again, I would argue this man probably has more power than the speaker himself, Matt Gaetz. Who do you think's really running this? And I want to bring up DL St. Reese. I'm going to bring you back, but let me bring up DL and see what he has to say. And I know he's being very careful. How are you, DL?
What's good, y'all? How you feeling, Sue? How you feeling?
I am fantastic. You are in the whip, and now you.
Yeah, I'm out here. You know, man, I'm out here running these streets. You know how it is.
Yeah, I see you. Be careful, please. I know you're watching the road, just listening in. But what's happening? What do you think? Have you been watching and following everything that's been going on?
Bits and pieces. You know, it's where American politics has gotten. You know what I mean? You know, and I want to start by saying this, and I always say this about politics for those who are new to it or those who've been around a long time. If you know a politician's name, if you know their first and last name, they're bought and paid for by the 1%. They are owned, period. I don't care if their name's Obama. I don't care if their name's Clinton. I don't care if their name is Trump. I don't care if their name is Marjorie Taylor Greene. It does not matter. If you know their name, they're in somebody's pocket, because it costs so much money to be in positions of power in this nation. You look at Nancy Pelosi. Her net worth is somewhere north of $200 million. How do you do that making $200,000 a year? Somebody please show me. Because I don't even need 200 million. I'm just trying to get a quick 10, 15 million and I'm good. How do you do that? You're bought and paid for it. So when it comes to American politics, it's all smoke and mirrors. Now, what's going on now with these radical Republicans and you know, like this stuff that McCarthy is trying to deal with, that's Trump's fault. Like, Trump went in there and wrecked the Republican Party. And he's made it so difficult for them to even govern now. They finally get a little power in the House. Mind you, they should have swept the Democrats right out of the House of Representatives. They should have, and the Senate, because the current administration is not doing a good job, and why couldn't they beat them? That right there was the biggest wake-up call to the Republican Party ever. Like, to real politicians, they're like, wait a minute, things are out of control. And what's going on now, like, they can't even govern. But I think the good thing to all this is, in order for the Republicans to do anything, they have to work with the Democrats. They have to. And that is a net gain for the entire nation. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm curious to see how it works. There's going to be some real politicking going on. You're going to have to work with both sides of the aisle to get anything done. And you got to worry about these obstructionists, these Republicans, who are, you know, and they're not even real Republicans, these Trumpers. Let's just keep it 100. These Trumpers, they're going to do everything they can to disrupt the United States government. Every single thing they can. And that's bad business for all of us. At least that's my take on it, man. But if you know their names, though, people, if you know their name, they are bought and paid for.
So DL said, don't get it twisted. They are not working for the people at large. He believes there are bigger, what should I say, more powerful and even more sinister powers that be that want the rules written for them for their benefit, and that they are going to be, you know, beholden to them once they get into office. That's the only way they can get into office. So says my brother here, DL, great perspective. Now, do you think Kevin McCarthy, let me ask you it this way, because I think we might land on, let me read a couple comments and I'll ask you this question. Y'all leave Reese alone. Reese can have his opinion. I see some pushback. Let's be respectful in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah, leave brother Reese alone, y'all. I can't read the chat, but I can imagine.
He's learning. He said he's open to feedback. He is not into politics that deep, but I'm glad he has that curiosity and he's open about how he feels. So it's okay to have him. Yes, Carl, it was the State of the Union that Reese was referring to. We can go back and talk about it. I think it's probably too deep. It'll get us way off of the conversation today if we go that deep.
That's a big that's a deep rabbit hole right there. If we start getting into the Trump administration,
it's probably a little bit. Yeah, it has to be its own show. Queen Regina said no, she tore it up. Was it after his first impeachment? But it was during the State of the Union. So I agree with you, but it was during the State of the Union speech. Okay, cool. Yes.
And real quick, just so everyone knows, I'm a registered Republican. All right. Okay. So before people start thinking this or that, I'm in Hillsborough County. I'm a registered Republican. And I'm active. You know what I mean? But like I said, but the Republican Party is in disarray right now. It's been bad for the past, what would you say, Suzette, about 7-8 years? It's kind of got
since Trump.
So it's been really bad since Trump. Yeah. So I just want y'all to know that, full disclosure.
Okay, cool. Jill's Chocolate Boutique is in the building. Miss you, sis. She says, Happy New Year to you and the chat. Big it up. Thank you for being here. Yes, we're gonna do some educating and we're gonna do some open opinions. So again, you may disagree with people. So Carl Black says, yes, I agree. She has lots of insider, meaning Nancy Pelosi, trader activities. I think there are rules for which Congress can and cannot trade, like stocks and information that they're having, approving things in committees and things like this from the FDA and stuff like that. Supposed to prevent them. Yes.
Suzette, there are rules, but the most prohibitive rules and the rules that should be on the books, Nancy Pelosi never brought it to the floor.
Well, but the whole body don't want it. Exactly. I get what you're saying. The whole body don't want it. So we could put Nancy Pelosi as the face, right? But the people who were there, it's like the information that you can get. There have been people that have been investigated, though. Your friends and your family all of a sudden bought all this stock knowing that the government was about to approve this contract for, fill in the blank. I'm using it as a hypothetical, but it has happened. And they have been investigated, but they're supposed to have rules against insider trading for our representatives. But it's, again, apparently they're getting around it. If you work for 20 years and now you work how much 100 million, you just happen to know where things are going. I think it's kind of a perk of the job. Clearly, if it was illegal, it would be probably some people would maybe agree with it more, but it's not on the books. But your DL is saying it should be.
Well, and here's the thing: the people who are benefiting the most from this insider trading are the people who make the laws. Are they going to make a law that keeps them from making $200 million? Nope.
No. Good point. Rosalind, hey sis, says my barber said the same thing, and it's true. Money buys politicians. Senator Manchin. Ooh, Joe Manchin. First of all, this kind of made 20 people a Joe Manchin. Right? It's not just one person. That's the Senate now. We're talking about the House of Representatives. Senate is 100 people, 2 per state. The U.S. House is 435 equal districts across the country based on population size. Yeah. So it's now given at least 6 people the Joe Manchin status. We got to check with them. We got to ask what they want. We got to give them what they want so they can get on board. Like, this is a lot of power. It is going to be a complex governing cycle for the next 2 years till the 2024 elections. Let me see. Has any of you, Black Lexicon, welcome says, has any of you in the chat felt welcome by any Republican to have a face-to-face discussion with them about your concerns? I would say yes. What say you, DL? Yeah. Well, DL definitely.
Yeah.
DL said,
they want to talk to me because I can afford to pay for those dinners. So they're going to talk to me when I walk in the room. And I'm one of the only black faces they're going to see. So they're going to run to me. But yeah, for the average person, yeah.
Have you seen does he come up that far? Have you met Byron Donalds by chance? This gentleman?
No, he hasn't come up this far, but he's on my list. I know people who have talked. You gotta tip the hat to the brother for winning, for winning, first of all, for running as a Republican and actually, convincing his constituents to vote for him. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you got a campaign, and let's keep it 100. You know what I mean? If you're a black man or Asian man or, maybe even a Latino man in an area that's not, how should I put this? That is traditionally Republican, it's really hard to get that seat. It could be, you know what I mean? But he managed to do that. So I got to tip my hat to the brother. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no, listen, I would have loved, again, I want him to develop as a leader. I just thought they were just throwing, anything, paint and wall and see what sticks by just nominating him. I thought that was a little insulting, but I don't think, him as a person, any leader can come up, and I want Black leaders to come up in both parties. Right now, there are 4 House of Member Representatives who happen to be Black and Republican. There are 4, and he's one of them. So yeah, shout out to him. He, again, you never know. You could see his name again in the future. I said on Faraji's show over on Roland Martin, he probably got a heck of a boost in his fundraising just by his name being national. And now he is, a different level of notoriety. Again, many of these people who became rock stars in the last 4 days, we didn't know their names. Most average Americans wasn't paying attention like that. So here he is. He got a moment, and maybe it'll be for his benefit down the road. And I want to see if they'll include him in leadership when they don't need him for a House vote. If he's
probably not. I mean, but here's the thing: it'll be a testament to his political savvy. Will he be able to parlay that into a leadership role? If he can, then he's a real politician. If he can't, then maybe he is the token guy. So we got to sit back and see. At the end of the day, y'all, it's still politics, right? It's still networking. It's still, big bank take little bank, so to speak. You know what I mean? If you can't, you need to know how to parlay your position. And if he's a true politician, then he'll rise to the top.
You need to leverage that. He looked scared a couple of times when the camera was on him. I was like, I wonder what this brother's thinking. You think he actually wanted to be the speaker?
I think his people plan to prepare him, or maybe they didn't see it coming, so he was shocked by it. I mean, there's certain people, like, you put a camera in my face, I don't care what we're talking about, I'm gonna be all right. But most people are afraid to get in front of a camera. Yeah. And again, that goes to your political savvy, bro. If you remember that time when was it Rubio? Remember when Rubio gave the Republican response to the State of the Union, and he kept drinking the water?
It was terrible,
right? What the hell was that?
Everybody get caught in mouth. You see me. I'm glad this is YouTube. I'm drinking my water because my mouth was dry too. I had a great workout this morning, by the way. But I worked out. But I feel, honestly, when I got up to stretch, I'm like, my legs are locked up because I haven't been drinking water. I thought I need a Gatorade. I need like some good electrolytes back in my body. But yeah, everybody can get nervous. Everybody can feel, that type of pressure. But again, I just didn't like the way it would seem like, oh, we got a Black guy. You guys got a Black one. I got a Black one.
Georgia. Look at Georgia. Herschel Walker. Really?
That seemed like the same thing, though. DL is proving my point.
But here's the thing, though. It's still an opportunity. But it's still an opportunity.
Okay, this guy's better than Herschel Walker. Excuse me.
Right.
We're on 2 different levels. So.
And it's still an opportunity, yeah. If you're a true player, like if you're a real G, you know what I mean? Shout out to the locked up top G. If you the top G, right? When this opportunity comes, you're gonna run with it. You're right. You're sitting in the room. Oh, y'all want to put my name forward? Oh, you want me to do this or that? Well, I'm gonna need this.
Okay. And you should be able to leverage it. I hear you.
Absolutely.
So hopefully he's not going to be blown in the wind and miss his opportunity to come back and say, y'all put me on some real committees. Put me in charge of some stuff. Let me show what I can do. And let's see if they value that, or they, ask for his support on certain things. Maybe he holds it until he
needs a real gangster on his team. Holla at me, bro. You need a real gangster on your team. You know what I mean? I'll make that happen.
You're not doing this unless I get that, and you better give me this unless I get that. No, DL said I'll make the calls if you need me to. Let me see. Link says, "Are you home? You want to go upstairs?"
Yeah, I'm gonna run in. So I'm gonna jump off and I'll jump right back in.
No problem. All right, see you in a bit. Link says, the Republican Party is done. You were watching them go down a slow drain. Strong sentiment. A viable third party will become a real option in the next 5 to 10 years. I'm so surprised we haven't had that. I think the system feeds off of 2 parties and trying to make us seem like we're enemies of one another, or the person that's Republican is evil, or the person that's Democrat is evil. I don't know. They squash every third party that tries to come up. I think there are people that are yearning for an alternative to Democrats and Republicans, but it'll be interesting. I'll take you up on that prediction. It'll be interesting to see if that's something that can truly develop, because there's so much money involved in the 2-party system. Let me see. Sanana says Republicans and Dems in Congress don't want strong insider trading rules. I agree on both sides. That's not a Nancy Pelosi thing. That's everybody, or they would have regulated themselves. All of them do it. You go to Congress, you're going to become a millionaire. Most of them do. right? But they're not going to make those rules too tight for themselves. Queen Regina says, nope, the Republican Party went deranged. Oh, after a black man was voted in as president after Barack Obama's election. Remember the "you lie"? Yes, the scream at his State of the Union address by a Republican House member, I believe it was, that yelled at the President of the United States, Barack Obama, during his speech. And in the middle of his speech, at a point of his speech, talk about tear up paper. You lie. Like to the man on the podium. Never had been done before. Yeah, that was wild. That was wild. Yeah, I remember that too. I remember that too. Hey, Lando. Happy New Year to you, brother. Good to see you. I'm going to bring back Reese here. See if he has any. I'm going to ask you, Reese, would you have given up? I don't know if you've looked at some of the concessions that Kevin McCarthy had to make. Would you have given up so much to get the votes to get into power? I want to ask DL that too. When he comes back, I'll ask him if he thinks it was worth it. It is what they say, is the juice worth the squeeze? The pain, the things that you are now going to have to turn over to this really radical group to sit on top of the mountain? How much is too much? I don't know. I want to ask you that. Give me a sec. Queen Regina says, okay, did this man have the same outrage when Obama was called a liar in the State of the Union? Okay, point well taken. Black Lexicon says, I'm just a man out here trying to understand the word. Queen Regina says, Pelosi rips up this speech for President Trump, went on offensive against, ripped up the speech. President Trump went on offensive against socialism and left-wing policies during the defiant third State of the Union address. Oh, was it the third one? Okay. Probably after impeachment. Hey, Lynx, let me bring you up. What on? How are you?
What's going on, Suzette? How you
I
doing?
haven't seen you so long.
I know. It's been
time.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year. Crazy
Wow, you
2022.
got a few more salt and peppers up there. I like
it.
Yeah. Good to see you, brother. Happy New Year and all that. Oh,
likewise.
man. Blast from the past. So tell me what you got to say. What you think about Kevin McCarthy and everything that took place this week?
He's just a placeholder. That's all. He's simply a placeholder. He's given up too much. He gave up too much to Gates and what's old girl from Georgia? Yeah, Boebert too.
And the other one. Let me bring up the pictures of the people that you know. These people here.
Yeah. And old girl from Georgia.
Now. Yeah. Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yes, her.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. I was gonna get into the lunge next. The lunge after him, he was gonna knock if you buck if he could get to me. Yeah, those people run it, bro. Marjorie Taylor Greene's run it. Matt Gaetz runs it. So what do you think? You think he gave up too much? So therefore, no party, no pool.
Of course. He definitely, to me, this is me how I'm looking at it. One of the reasons why those two specifically held on so hard. I think it's a play for protection for themselves. With the January 6th committee that's still, stuff that's been referred over. So that's how I'm looking at their play for power, because they're both of them are they're both clowns. They're not about governing. They're about it's a complete show with them.
Sound bites and showboating. That's what they say. Yep.
Yeah. That's all it is. It's
let me tell you, that popularity makes you a lot of money. I think a lot of them, they all of a sudden they're invited to all these, dinners and banquets and to be on Fox all the time and get a mic in your face. That's like its own, the fame generates its own, opportunities, the business of it.
Yeah, it does. But again, unless you have some substance behind that, it's short-lived. And they're not going to. The only person I could see that's going to last a little bit longer is going to be Green, because of her constituency and who she supports in rural North Georgia.
They're not going to vote her out. They love her.
Yeah.
She represents that district. The people of that district, she is reflective of the people in that district. I would agree with you on that. Interesting take. So do you think McCarthy is going to be voted out within like a year?
I give him a year. I give him a year. we'll see how everything plays out. As DL was saying, they're going to have to work with each other, and those two there, or that cabal of three, they're going to be they're going to get pissed off with something. I think because of them, they're going to throw the the country into recession faster than we were. It was supposed to happen because of the governing that they're gonna do. It's crazy.
They're gonna mess up our economy, bro. I feel like they just to say they did it.
Yep.
And to try to blame Biden for it. DL, thank you for the love. Let me bring DL and Reese back up. Welcome back. Welcome, Reese. Let me see if I can make y'all all out here. Okay, cool. DL, thank you for the love on the super chat. Appreciate you as always adding to the conversation. But that especially, I really, really do appreciate it. So tell me, what would you give up all that it seems that this now speaker has given up in order to get to the speakership? Either one of you. I was talking to DL, but either one of you.
Well, I would real quick before I jump into that. You were talking about Green, and being secure in her district, and we were talking about Gates. Marjorie Taylor Greene might not be that secure in her district. She will be vulnerable moving forward because she bought way in with on the Trump train. And again, these people make a lot of noise, but they are not representative of real Republicans. They're not representative of the people who pay the money to fund these campaigns. I think that I think that she will face a decent challenge in her own district, in her own backyard. I think I think the people in her district are like, you know what, we've had enough of the grandstanding, because where people are saying like, the economy is going bad. We're in a recession. We don't know how bad it might get. It might become a light depression. You look at the car market, look at the housing market, right? Y'all just wait for the numbers to come out. You're going to see a lot of people are getting laid off and stuff like that. So we're headed for some pain, and she's out here grandstanding. People are going to want to get rid of her because their pockets are going to be hurting, right? She's going through a divorce right now.
Is she?
Yeah. She's going through a divorce right now, and they're asking people to kind of respect her privacy and stuff like that because, all the financials are going to come up and discovery and stuff like that. So she's going to be facing a challenge, and I guarantee you, all that dark money, not dark money, but the money she's made since she's been in D.C. is going to become an issue. She's going to be a carpetbagger. She's going to be part of the swamp, Again, I'm a Republican, and I could come up with a campaign to destroy her, and it'd be all facts. So you can't, So I wouldn't count on her being a staple in D.C. Maybe locally, maybe she does some stuff at the state level. I don't know, but I don't see her being a staple D.C. level. And Gates, he still got some, let's say, minor issues.
Come on now. Stop now. Come on now.
You know what I'm talking about.
I didn't want to bring it up. Faraji brought it up yesterday on Roland Martin, but I'm like, innocent until proven guilty.
But he has these issues. He's not well liked.
For him to have that type of investigation going on and to be so in your face, I'm like, bruh.
Hey, just like Trump.
Is that what they call privilege?
That's part of the Trump play. That's part the Trump playbook.
Yes. Just like Trump. So, I mean, if I'm going to do it.
You got this outstanding allegations. And again, it's just allegations.
But you fools, Suzette, what? Go out like a lion or go out like a lamb? Which one you going to do?
And he rocking and giving them the, get out of my face. Yeah. I'm like, nuggets buck for real.
Right. But they're representative of this new style of Republican politics, these extremists, these Trumpers. They're going to eat themselves. So, I mean, we're going to see a correction with
deal. But they gave them room. That's why they became even this more popular and powerful.
You say gave them room
all the time. They were the same. Kevin McCarthy gave them money, but tried to buddy up with them, try to friend them, thinking that they were going to fall in line. And they don't have a system mindset. They don't have the loyalty mindset. Politics is a team sport. You rub my back, I rub your back. You help me, I'm going to ask for a favor later. And I know I'm going to have to give it to you because you helped me. These people got a favor and didn't want to repay and wanted to turn around and say, man, to the person who gave them the favor.
And we're on the same page here. We're on the same page here, right? There's more than one way to skin a cat, and they're not playing properly, and they're going to get booted. Just like you look at Trump and his issues, right? And you look at DeSantis. Everyone loves DeSantis. DeSantis is barely 1 degree away from Trump, but everyone loves DeSantis. Why? He won. And most people who were tied to Trump lost.
One big.
And most people who were tied to Trump lost. Look at Fox News right now. Look at how they are treating these people. Fox News is no longer throwing up the softballs.
The Marjorie Taylor Greene show or the Bolbert show. But it was for a while. I'm telling you, they made this beast. They fed this monster, and now it's out of control.
And now they are fighting that monster. This is my point. Now they are turning against their own Frankenstein. Now it's torches and pitchforks. Republicans going after Republicans. So I'm telling you, I'm sitting back with popcorn again. I'm on the team, but I'm not in the fight.
You like
DL,
get rid of them. Go ahead,
DL. This is why and no disrespect, but this is why I say the Republican Party is they're at their end. Because of what Trump has done. He basically came in and spread this poison. Now everybody it's a Republican zombie party. Everybody's eating each other. You've got the demographic shifts that's happening in the country. You've got the age shifts that are happening in the country. Like I said, it's going to be a matter of, I say, 5 to 10 years. There will be a viable third party, and then you got a mass exodus of folks leaving the Republican Party, establishment Republicans that are leaving the Republican Party because of what Trump has done.
Also, I agree with you, brother. I'm not going to push back, but also Democrats are leaving.
Yes.
Look at Tulsi. So here's the thing: there's definitely blood in the streets when we talk about in the Republican world, and when there's blood in the streets, that's when you buy. That's why I always tell people, brothers and sisters.
Now we should all go over there. Okay, hold on, deal. Let me understand this, because when I look at the Republicans, okay, this came up yesterday when I was on the Culture on Roland Martin's show with Faraji, right? So he asked, or Faraji was making the statement that Trump is dead and Trump is being rejected. Now, I pushed back and I said, I don't really think so. I think there are people who are looking at what happened in the midterms and that red wave that wasn't as an indicator that people need to be, more pro-Trump or more conservative or more radical. And if they had those type of candidates, they would have won, and that it would have been a stronger outcome in terms of the wins. And there was a comment in the comment section that said, Trump is gone as an individual. People are not feeling him, but Trumpism is still being kind of utilized as a philosophy, this blustery, in your face, I am pro-America, and kind of, what should I say, establishment minded, but still very kind of like almost trying to pretend as if you're like the radical and you want to just mess everything up. Do you find that to be true? That are people still pro-Trump in the Republican Party? Is Trump dying off, or is Trumpism now what is being sustained? Can you explain what you see?
Trump has 15 to 20% diehard Trumpers. That's it. 15 to 20%. That's it. It won't get any bigger and it won't get any smaller. That is it. That is your Trumper people. We're down here in Florida, Sue. When was the last time you seen a Trump?
I feel like the Democrats have given away Florida, but go ahead.
When's the last time you seen a Trump flag? When's the last time you seen the MAGA flag? I'm up here in Tampa. I'm in Hillsborough County.
Yeah, no, they was rolling with them even down south.
I ain't seen one in 2 years. I'm right here. I'm in Trump land. Most of the people got picked up on January 6th were picked up here, Pinellas County, Hillsborough County. Yes. You know what I mean?
Tampa
I'm up
Bay.
here. Tampa Bay.
People don't realize how Tampa is kind of.
It was.
Yeah, out there.
Was. Keyword was. Okay. Like I said, 15 to 20% of the Republican Party are hardcore Trumpers, and a lot of them are here in Tampa. Where does the Republican Party want to go politically? They want to go the way of Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. They want to come back to the grand old party. They want to come back to morals and conservatives and stuff like that. That's what and I'm talking about the insiders. I'm talking about the ones with money. I'm talking about the establishment Republicans.
Class. Okay.
Y'all ain't gonna hear these conversations. I'm talking about this is what's going on. These are the conversations that are being had behind closed doors. People like Patrick Bet-David, shout out to Valuetainment PBD. Yes. A lot of respect for that guy. Here's the thing. He's saying DeSantis. They were like, DeSantis. I'm saying no. It's not going to be DeSantis. It might be Liz Cheney. They want to come back they want to bring it home. It's going to be Republicans that are true, fiscally conservative. You know what I mean? They're going to be hawkish. You know what I mean? When it comes to foreign policy, we're going to pump money into the military and stuff like that. They want to come back to that. They're so far removed from that. So I think we're watching a transition with the Republican Party. There's blood in the streets. And this is why I say it's time to buy, because I'm telling you right now, the Republicans are out there seriously looking for people who look like us to get involved in their
I'm gonna be on the other side.
I have a good friend of mine who was in the Republican Party in Georgia. A real good friend of mine who I've watched him move up. I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it.
I ain't mad at you, brother.
Nope.
I ain't mad.
I can't deal. I can't deal with politics. I did an exploratory run for a district seat when I was in Georgia, and got the talk with the shot callers.
The thing is, Black people can be very conservative, you guys. Like on a lot.
We are. We are. It's not.
Older. We're very conservative. I think people say that. That's why even down here, Trump played well when it came to certain communities in the diaspora, because you have the Bible Belt, Jacksonville crossways to Tallahassee, and you have pockets of heavily religious people, and that's why I read a good article. I can't remember what where it was, about how the Democrats right now house two polar opposites. A truly socially super progressive wing, and then the most conservative voting base ever, which is African Americans. So for us to be, and I think that's why there's such dissonance sometimes for Black folks when we go to the polls, because we like parts of the agenda, but other parts we're like, no, I don't know. I didn't really sign up for that part. I only want this part. But yeah, I don't know that we have another home, so that's why we stay.
This is where I say this viable third party is going to come into play in the next 5 to 10 years, and it is not going to be just a party. It's going to be a conglomeration of folks who have come out of the Democratic Party, folks who've come out of the Republican Party. It's going to be a mixture of independents. This third party is going to be a very interesting party that you're going to see here. Mark my words. You will see this in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yes, go ahead, Reese.
I want the floor for a minute, right? I want to give my disclaimer first, because every single time I talk to any breathing adult on this globe, they forget this. Now, I am not affiliated with any political party whatsoever. I said earlier, I don't give a damn about any of them. I've never voted. I'm 53 years old, and I've never voted for anything, not even in high school. All right. That's how much I care about politics. I am a Targaryen. I have the blood of the dragon. Now, I got into politics because the world was shut down. I lost my business and I was sitting in my house all day. So I was looking at everything 6, 7, 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. A lot of people didn't have time to do that. You see what I'm saying? Most of the free world has to get up in the morning, go somewhere for 8 hours, spend 4 hours or so getting to and from this place they have to go to 8 hours, come home and have another 3 hours of responsibility waiting for them there so that they can wake up tomorrow and do the same thing over and over again, right? So they don't have time to get deep into the studies to really find out what's going on. That's why it's so easy to manipulate billions of people instantly. Now, something weird is going on. I remember $2 gas. I had 4 jobs. There were 0 wars on planet Earth, right? And someone wanted to save the children of the globe. Then all of a sudden, everything went to shit, the whole world. That's what happened in front of my eyes and ears physically. Now, however you feel about Trump or whatever the news says about him, I did some research and I found out that it was all BS. All of it. Not only did I find that out, I found out that the present HNIC is the head of a criminal syndicate that stretches across this earth and has caused billions of deaths globally, notably in the hoods of America, all orchestrated one plan after the other. And both sides work together to make sure this happened. It's all a show. It's just like the fake rap beefs of the late 90s. Two guys are talking about killing each other's mother. Next thing you know, a mixtape comes out and they're best friends. Or someone comes up missing and it's a mystery for 20, 30, 40 years. Same type of thing going on in the government. And then I find out that literally all of these people are working together. The news networks, the government, the entertainment industry, the oil industry, the medical industry, and the food industry to orchestrate all of this death. So it's almost impossible to know who's who. But one thing I did find out from doing simple research is that everything, 100% of it, what the Democratic Party has been telling to us for the past half a century is all lies. They gave us crack. They corrupted our movies. They threw Jerry and Maury on TV for 35 years and followed it up reality TV, then enforced bad diets and medicine around the clock through your media, right? Everything negative was promoted, financed, and pushed by them. There's a small group of people, I think, that are trying to turn this around. And I think, I could be wrong, I think it's happening now, starting today.
Thank you, Reese. Thank you. Any responses, gentlemen?
Yeah, like Brother Reese, I hear what you're saying, but especially with the two things, when you're talking about the wars and peace, there's never been peace on earth ever, and America's been involved in probably 95% of all conflicts on earth right now. Like, this is just coming from a guy who did it. You know what I mean? So, especially growing up, and when it comes to drugs, that was Iran-Contra. That was Bush. That was the Reagan administration that brought crack and weapons to the streets. Like, because I grew up in the Midwest. I'm from Cincinnati, so I watched the streets go from guys having a 25 or a Danger or a 38 to guys having.
Hey, Gail, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Quick question. How does that line up? That whole Iran-Contra thing. How does that line up mathematically with the crime bill that Joe Biden signed? Because I did 10 years under that.
Right. My point is this. Again, they're bought and paid for. It's not just the Republicans or the Democrats. It's all of them. Right. The crime bill. I mean, it was Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden talking about super predators. We all came up under that. You know what I mean?
Two sides of the same coin.
Two sides of the same coin. So you got the Republicans on one hand waging wars in foreign lands, right, involving drugs and guns to fight communism. And then on the other side of that, you got politicians, building, prisons. Shout out to System of the Down. I mean, that's a heavy metal group, y'all, but they got a song called "They Trying to Build a Prison." Y'all should listen to it. You know what I mean? And these are Armenian kids out of, they're Armenian American kids out of LA that have a rock group. Yeah. And they one of their biggest songs, well, it wasn't that mainstream, but I love it. It was They Trying to Build a Prison. All this comes under these politicians. When you know their names, they're bought and paid for. So, Brother Reese, I'm with you. It's just some of the stuff I can't 100% be with, because if you go back to World War II, every American generation has been fighting. You're right. I fought in Desert Storm. We just got finished coming out of Afghanistan, but we're still in the Middle East. We're still in Africa.
Always a conflict.
We're still in Central Africa. You know what I mean? I mean Central America and South America. We're still in Southeast Asia. We're everywhere. If you don't believe me, ask Brother Mandrell. Shout out to Mandrell, Green Beret. He'll let you know. He can't tell you all of it, but he can tell you about the declassified one. So America is always fighting. Right? I said no wars, didn't I? I might have misspoke a little bit. Yeah, I was like, hold on now. There was a conflict going on when Trump came in. I'm talking about after he came in. There were no new global conflicts. And comparable to what's going on now, you have two nations on this planet in the first 2 years that look like King's Landing and the Stepstones. Iraq ain't even Iraq no more. And Ukraine is King's Landing. It's rubble. All right. I'm just comparing the two things. Remember, I'm not aligned with anybody. All I can do is analyze what happened in front of my eyes and what came into my ears, the information that came in. That's what I saw. The rest of the world saw it.
I found out about something called the Black Platinum Plan, right? And when I was looking at that, I did some more fishing around on the internet and found out there was like 7 peace treaties in less than a month. That's never happened ever. 7 national peace treaties, but between feuding nations and 5 other nations talking about joining on. That would have been historical, and nobody even knows about it. Nobody even knows about the Black Platinum Plan. $250 billion for infrastructure solely for the hoods in the United States. Not a handout, not a stimulus check to a bunch of irresponsible people that's going to go buy lashes and Jordans. I'm talking about that was money that would be handed out to the infrastructure, schools, books, potholes, and I can go on forever. The Black
So we gotta bring it a little more current.
Nobody even knows.
Go ahead. No, I just want to, because I want to make sure because we can get into a deep conversation about past, let's say transgressions of different administrations in the country. But I wanted to move the conversation a little bit more forward. Your points, like I said, probably need a little bit more expounding upon, Reese, more than I can give here right now, time to, but they are valid nonetheless. And I see a lot of reaction also. People are going to, be curious, maybe do some research on your own, guys, and kind of explore some of the points Reese has kind of brought up here. But I want to move it a little bit more. And I agree with Miss Globe Girl. Hey, hun, says, let's say we are in agreement with Reese for argument's sake. What does he believe we should be doing today? And I think that's a valid question, because I think, again, right now, we have a brand new set of people who were just sworn in late last night, who are going to be charged with doing, some good on behalf of the people of the United States. So what do we want from them? What do we want? Again, the people who control right now are Republicans in the House to do differently, to focus on, to be a part of, to hopefully get some outcomes that I think would make our country stronger, depending on your opinion of what it is that will make the country stronger. But I agree with you. So I'm going to kind of shift a little bit from kind of DL or Links, if you want to respond kind of to what Reese has just said. But I also want to bring the conversation back to current times, so we can kind of, see where we want this Congress to focus its the policy making and other duties, so to speak. Do you want to respond to what Reese said, and then we're going to move it forward a little bit?
So I'll just say 2 things real quick. The first thing I just wanted to say is to Brother Reese, and we could talk about this, offline or at a later date, maybe even come over to my platform if you want to. There will always be conflicts on planet Earth, and America will be involved in it 95% of the time. What's going on in Ukraine with Russia is a proxy war, just another proxy war between Russia and the United States. It happened in Afghanistan. It happened in Vietnam. It happened in North Korea, right? Even though North Koreans was mostly Chinese, but it was a lot of Russian help as well. So that's always going to be the case, right? What we're not talking about is, what's going on with Taiwan and China. That's a big problem. Japan, South Korea, and China, huge problem. You know what I mean? So this is stuff that people aren't thinking about. China and India, they're already killing each other. Soldiers are already fighting each other with bats and knives right now. That's the next one. Those are huge conflicts. Those are huge conflicts, and they're constantly going on. It just doesn't get a report. You have to go search those out. But so what Suzette was saying, let's push the narrative back to what we were talking about. And I would, and this is for Brother Links. Brother Links, just imagine, and I get you. Like, I don't want to rock with the Republicans. I get you, but just imagine if we had 6 more African American Republicans that were in the mix with this battle over the House, right? How much power would be wielded between those 6 individuals or 7 individuals, counting the guys already there, right? Just think about that. And right now, the Republicans are looking for people who look like us, that can hold a conversation, right? That aren't walking around with a fake badge talking about I'm the police. Shout out to Herschel Walker. You know what I mean? Just imagine. Politics, y'all, is real business. People, we need to understand and push through the smoke and mirrors and see the business side of it. Americans are always complaining. Black Americans are always complaining that we don't get nothing. The Democrats don't appreciate our vote. And I agree with that most of the time. How do you get people to value your vote? Right? You consolidate your power and you move it. Right
So
now, the
then
black vote. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead, bro.
They have done what they've done is masterful. I have to give them props for what they've done. Then I got to ask the question.
Republican Party.
The Republican Party.
Okay.
I'm an independent, so I'll give I'll give both sides hell. But then I'll ask the question: why hasn't the Congressional Black Caucus done the same thing with the Democratic Party and wield their power for certain votes or certain things that they wanted to see passed? These are questions you got.
Money. Thank you. They making it rain. They doing this. They doing this. The Congressional Black
Let's
Caucus.
say the quiet part out loud.
Yeah. The Congressional Black Caucus, no disrespect to anybody, but the Congressional Black Caucus are like the girls in the strip club on the stage getting rained on by the 1%. They don't care. They've lost touch. How do we deal with them? Remove
not like
them.
the girls at the strip club. I don't think that's the same.
They getting paid. I'm sorry. What I mean by that, they are more than happy to take the money and do what they're told. Right? They're thank you. They're more than happy to do what they're told. So what do we do about that as a community, right? People say we don't have a black community anymore. What do we do about that? We get together and we remove that. We change that leadership. Once you start messing with that, because that can be done with a vote. You don't even need money. And Barack Obama proved that. You can circumvent the system without money. You can get there. You're going to need money once you get there.
They actually are changing that now. They don't want Iowa to be number one anymore. He could win in Iowa because you don't need money. You got to go to the Iowa State Fair and knock on those people's doors and shake their hands. It's small enough, and you could drive a car and go meet people and actually be involved in the caucus. Now they're moving it to a bigger market first. So it only locks it into people who got the big money. The establishment supported candidates now will have the advantage. At first I was like, oh yeah, South Carolina would be great because there's more black people. But guess what? It's a bigger market. It's a more expensive place to run. So if you are that maverick, out of nowhere, no one really backs you with money yet, but you have the right ideas that people want to hear. You're a dynamic leader, charismatic, etc. You don't even have a chance. I don't know about the realignment. I'm listening to it, and there are parts of me that are like, great. I want a more diverse electorate to have input up front. But at the same time, Iowa gave us Barack Obama. You know what I'm saying? Would we have him if you started in South Carolina? Maybe not.
Probably not. Shout out to Miss Globe Girl. She get me. Yep. Shout out to Miss Globe Girl. That's so she get me. But here's the thing. That could be changed today if we came together and did it. But, our collective attention span is too short.
I didn't read this before I put this up. I'm sorry. Just read it. I'm sorry, Miss Globe Girl. But no, I just read what you said. So I don't see. It's a big group to clump everybody together like that, because I do think there are people that want to fight the power and speak truth to power, but you're outnumbered. It's 435. As you say, politics is a game. It's a team sport. You still got to get Nancy Pelosi to put you on that committee. You still got to get, certain people to buy in to vote for your stuff. So you can't play. It's not an individual sport. These people even just now show, I don't know. Is it that because it was a group of them, 20 of them? So you're saying that the Black Caucus could operate the same way?
Suzette, here's what this is how I think. I think black folks as a whole need to exit Republican Party, exit Democratic Party, become a monolith to their own, and then make whichever party cater to us. Simple as that. But unfortunately, until we move from style over substance to substance over style, we're not going to get there. We can shift elections. Black folks can shift
100%,
elections.
100%.
So it's up to us.
Sometimes people just like to say, and Carl says, time for us to milk this for what we can. Politics is business at the end of the day. Get your bread and keep it moving. We're trying to get, nobler causes involved. And I guess a lot of people, and especially us, if you don't come from means and you get the opportunity to get to Washington, you're trying to make bank. You trying to fall in line so you can be, you know, a consultant later, maybe part of that K Street class of people later on, where you get out of office and they hire you to do this, you know, research and all these consultants that they have around elections, and you still get paid, and your kids get paid, and they get the internships, and they get the, you know, visit with the congressman as a page, or the first job is on Capitol Hill now. Within the White House, you get jobs. Like, there's so many more perks. Your family life kind of shifts a little. Your perspective. Shifts.
Like, look at Val Demings, and I'm a huge Val Demings fan. I think Val should have. Yeah. I think in another time Val would have been a Republican. You know what I mean? Her views kind of align with that, right? But in this world, she had to. You know, the Republicans were too radical. She had to line up with the Democrats. Yeah. And I would argue that if Val ran as a Republican for this last Senate race, she would have won. She would have won. She would have won. So, but look at Val. It's like, well, what's she gonna do now? She's probably gonna end up on K Street, right? As she should. She is a political insider. She has the connects and all that kind of stuff, and I ain't mad at her. Val, go get your money.
I hope she stays somewhere. The thing is, she can't win statewide because Florida has been disorganized when it comes to Democrats. I'm hearing a little echo, Reese. I think that's coming from you. I'm gonna drop you down for a second, bro. I hear a little echo coming in. Let me bring in Andrew. What's going on, Andrew? Andrew, you ready? Oh, I coming like you at drive. So, Andrew, walk one. How can you hear me, Andrew?
Spinning wheel.
Bellicose banter. Okay, we're bringing you up. It looked like you probably got away from your Wi-Fi. Good to have you, brother. When you're ready, you let me know. Hopefully, you can get connected soon. It probably is your internet, but I'm gonna ask about. So I don't know, what do Black folks do? Let me see.
Join the Forward Party. That's where me and Lincoln kind of 100%.
Oh, Forward Party. Put the link in the chat so people can know. In the back chat, they shared, or DL shared, a third party group I never heard of. I'm going to read about it now. And tell me about the Forward Party.
Well, it's just Andrew Yang, who I'm a big fan. I was part of the Yang gang and all that. Andrew Yang, a couple cycles back, ran for president, and he did really well with Republicans, moderate Republicans, by the way, and kind of like a radical Democrat, like the young Democrats. He of course he wasn't quite, he couldn't quite get enough of the vote and didn't have enough money to get his message to that final platform. Andrew Yang's a math guy. He was the one talking about the freedom dividend.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, which makes sense. Andrew Yang's the guy that's talking about, hey, AI is here. It's not coming anymore. It's here. What's going to happen to our economy? What's going to happen to our country when trucks are driving themselves, right? When you have driverless trucks.
You have no more factories, and you have no more middle class or working class jobs. Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. Truck drivers make 6 figures plus. Even now, and it's kind of messed up, but they're still making good money. But all those businesses just sprouted up around supporting the trucking industry, right? So you have the hotels, the motels, the diners, the truck stops, you know what I mean? The maintenance stuff.
People, yep.
All that's going to go away. Yeah. All that's going to go away. And that's just one segment of our economy. We already see it when you go into the stores, right? You name the store. How many times do you get to check out with a human being? They got you checking yourself out, right?
I've seen it in certain neighborhoods, more urban neighborhoods. They don't put no self-checkout in those, but I'm not going to get off topic. Finish your point.
But you see my point that there is
and I'm mad about
there's a movement to replace humans with artificial intelligence or robotics, right? There are a lot of stores where the shelves are stocked by robots. Like, these are the jobs.
Amazon factories, those things. Amazon,
yes. Yeah. Even in some of the point of contact stores, like the Walgreens, the Walmarts, or whatever, there are some stores out there where they have robots actually stocking the shelves. So those are jobs that are being removed from humans, and we already know. Let's keep it 100. The average American has multiple jobs. It's really hard to find you a full-time job with benefits that's going to give you 40 hours a week and all that kind of stuff, right? Let's keep it 100. Mm-hmm. So Andrew Yang
do more than one thing.
Right. So Andrew Yang is talking about this, and he was like the freedom dividend, and he was talking about, basically changing the way we do business and the way we look forward in Washington. So it seems like he started the Forward Party. I don't know much about it. I'm reaching out to him now so I can get a representative to come on my platform and tell me all about it. You can read about it. I'm about to drop it. I'm going to drop it in a link for you guys. But the thing is this. The world is changing. The 1% and the elected officials don't care because they're all paid. Again, how much money is Nancy Pelosi worth? So, and then you got to look.
Yeah,
they think it's north of 200 million, my dear. Think about that.
That's the last thing I read. Wow.
There's north of that. They were like the best estimates put it at 200 million. Yes. She got top G money, y'all. She over there. She got that kind of.
Nancy should have been retired though. But I mean, I respect her, and I don't, like I said, she left a legacy for sure. When she came in, I think it was like 23 women out of the 435. It has, I think, quintupled that actually now, in terms of putting women in leadership. Again, slim margins and still getting stuff done, challenging presidents, as we've seen with Mr. Trump. Maybe
She's
not
cutthroat.
Yeah, she cutthroat. She's a politician. All respect
and did
to
it
her.
in the stilettos. Yep.
Trump was the only. She was the only one Trump never disrespected.
Yeah, she was the only woman with the cojones, with the balls to stand up to him, like the only
two-time
person.
speaker. Who's ever done that in the history of America?
Yeah.
Two-time speaker. That's never happened before.
Yeah,
She's a G. But here's the point, though, and to Brother Link's point, I agree with him. He's an independent. I will say you should caucus with the Republicans right now. You should encourage your friends to caucus with the Republicans. And that is individuals. Go in with a plan, right? I'm a Republican. Like I said, card-carrying member. And every chance I get, I talk to the big money. Right? They are actively looking for people like me and my friends. You know what I mean? And I'm like, look, I'm not trying to hold office. I got way too many skeletons in my closet. You know what I mean? I can't do that, but I can still be in the background and I can help. I can be part of the team. We can find someone.
Yeah, you don't want to be up there because you don't want to be in the limelight.
Oh man, somebody get hurt, bro. I ain't playing.
I think they try to like off people in that level. Like when you get too much into it, the deep state. I think it's like, oh no, black people that get too much power are a threat. I don't like it. I don't like
that. Ain't nothing new. They was trying to off me when I was little. I mean, it's no big thing. You know what I mean? They ain't like
definitely. I think there's so much there that you just said. Let me read some of the comments. I'll let you respond. Life of Cash said, I like what Links is saying. We do have a challenge with black folks voting as a block because of infighting. And I think it's, again, because of individual gain. It's hard. Like I said, when you come up and you don't have much, when you get the opportunity to make your household, your family better, why would you not do that? Like any individual. But you have to put that aside to say, okay, the block is more important, and the greater, constituency of black people need X, Y, and Z. So let's fight it tooth and nail till we get it. Not everybody's built like that. Let me see. Black Lexicon added, there are a few states with laws in the country that require 5% inclusion of federal infrastructure funds and minority businesses, some as low as 1%, depending on where you live. This is the big question. How do we get, I think, black electeds? How do we get black people to get on the same page? Queen Regina, I will push back just a little on this. Remember, she says, no, SuzetteSpeaks, Iowa does not represent a melting pot. I agree with that part. No, Iowa's whitest state, one of the whitest state in our country. Obama could have still lost after New Hampshire, which does not represent diversity. South Carolina gave us Barack. I disagree, because if he did not win Iowa, South Carolina wouldn't have been looking at him, my opinion. And again, we can agree to disagree. I think, we could just agree to disagree.
Queen Regina, jump up here, girl. I want to hear some more of your comments. I want to hear some more. I want to pick your brain right now.
Queen, but it could be okay. I see it a little bit differently, but that's okay. We should look at political compass regarding the left-right spectrum. Democrats are center to left and center compared globally. Is that right? So we call it left, but they're actually more center. They're more moderate.
I think Democrats are more radical these days. I think the average Democrat is radical. I think they're more aligned with your AOCs and stuff like that. I think that Bernie
as they've gotten younger, yeah, definitely.
I think they're more radical. Just like the Republicans are more radical to the right.
Wing, is that the center? Is that the main part of the Democratic Party? Is this progressive wing?
It's growing. It's growing that way. It's growing. You got to look at the age shift that's happening in this country. We're getting younger. Yes. So with that, and then just look at society and what's going on now.
That the dynamics in the has drawn the party more.
Yes, they've drawn it further left.
But I think the voting base is not progressive. It's not like
the silent majority. I would agree with you, Suzette. But
I mean, they're moderate. They're not anti-progressive, but they're more moderate.
And I think the party as a whole has been drugged far left, just like the Republican Party has been drugged, far right. And when you look at the Republican Party today, Ronald Reagan is not Republican enough today. If Ronald Reagan tried, he would get primaried.
Yeah,
right?
Isn't that crazy?
Right,
and then let me bring up.
Then you look at what's going on with us. I'm not sure if Barack Obama would be able to make it to the top of the Democratic ticket these days if no one knew about it. Like if he was just coming up today, no one knew. Some young senator from Illinois, I don't think Barack would be able to get there.
Interesting. Wow. Okay, I got to really digest that. Mr. Andrew, Happy New Year. How are you?
Boss
Fine,
man.
fine. Well, go on. You know how we do.
Yeah.
We're there.
Respect. Respect.
Hi.
But, hey, how you doing, General? Yeah, I tell you this much. To go back real quick, third-party candidates, the only one that was viable was Ross Perot, and he kind of disappeared from the political spectrum real quick.
I disagree with you on there, but finish your thought. I got a little pushback.
No, but I hear you. In my opinion, I feel that black people are far from homogenous. Let's keep it 100. A lot of blacks from the diaspora that are from Caribbean and Africa are quite conservative. We've discussed this many times on that show that like we are very conservative to begin with. Even blacks down south have a touch of being conservative. You know, that's why I love Val Demings. I felt she should have been the VP, but that's a whole other story. I feel that only maybe 20-25% of Democrats are really super liberal, because they even have a Democratic Party that are conservatives in New York State. Because a lot of us are getting caught in the crosshairs. It's the truth. There's so many new parties coming in going against the ultra liberal. We're not that way, and unfortunately, we get caught. But what I feel is black people have to have a standard. Like there's certain things that we all advocate for as a group or minority. Well, I say black.
A baseline, no matter socioeconomics, no matter diasporic origin. These are some baseline things every black person should be advocating for. Who should be putting that list together? Is that like an Urban League thing, NAACP thing, or the Black Caucus thing? That's interesting.
Well, don't get me started.
You know, here's the whole thing. A lot of these things are dated, like from the Rainbow whatever coalition with Jesse Jackson to your Al Sharptons. They are not really viable in this thing. People might not like Barack Obama, but a lot of conservative Democrats are the ones that are getting in office as far as the national movements are concerned. The Democrats that have power and weight are not that liberal. You know, that's just my opinion and my observation over the years. When you come more central, even back to Bill Clinton, he wasn't liberal. As far as those crime bills were concerned, I recall a lot of other people voting for it that looked like us too. I can't blame one person whose name happens to be on the bill.
Again, we can look back and say, oh, how terrible, because it ended up being terrible. Black community leaders were asking for it.
Yes, they were.
The pastor them was standing up. Do something. Our kids are dying. Crack is killing us. Help us was the call. So we can look back 25 years later, 30 years later now and be like, oh my God, that was horrible. It wiped out a whole generation of black dads and men out of your community, like within 10 years. Everybody was locked up. Like we can look at that, Bill Clinton. We can look at that, Joe Biden now. But people were asking for it at the time, begging for it. And
that's just it. Like, but to be honest with you, I think that we have to look internally to create infrastructure, to create viable cities. Like the DC should be.
If you had a list that you could start to make that were universal, whether Democrat or Republican, and you're black, what would be some items that you would want on that list that we fight for, regardless what party?
True equality, economic development in the weaker sectors of the country where we collectively choose to build on, educating people on civics within our communities to have true comprehension of politics in and of itself, self-reliance, teaching them how to grow business, how to have that mentality. We want to fund the schools in the area, especially so that we could build better Americans and more educated base. We have to improve our standards as individuals, and we have to say no to certain things that go on within our communities. We have to actively go against that and create motivation and opportunities that allow people to put themselves up. So I'm a moderate, so I understand that. But you know, we've spoken on this before.
No, that's interesting, Andrew. I agree with all that. I just don't see everybody in every party agreeing with what you just said. But it has nothing to do with it's not politics. You could go left and right with everything else, but it's a standard that we have to maintain collectively. And we can't go to our politicians. You got to start from the bottom. Want an educated base?
Well, here's the whole thing. I'm talking civics. to know who's on the ballot, how to pull the ballot, and understanding who the people are. So if the person might be conservative, but he's going for your values. They might be liberal, but they're going for your values. You have to figure out what your community needs and work from there. It really doesn't matter.
I don't disagree with you, but I just
Can I give my three?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I like to give my three. I would say term limits. We need to enact term limits in DC. No more professional politicians.
Man. Yes.
I would say
So no
overturn
20-year Joe Biden, no 50-year Joe Biden.
Right, no 60 years, none of them. Even
Lock
Nancy
us off.
Pelosi, all of them. So term limits. Overturn Citizens United. Take all that dark money and corporate money out of politics, and I would also modify or do away with redistricting. It should be this is it, or it should be like every 50 years or something like that. If you do those three things, you've really changed the face of politics, and you've made it to where it's a duty to go to DC as opposed to going to DC in your beat up Honda Civic and coming out of there in a Learjet. You know what I mean? So, and that's what's going on right now.
I would press a little bit DL and say maybe not redistricting, but gerrymandering.
I look at it as the same thing, but
It's not
yes,
the same thing.
I mean, you'll have to educate me on that because I've always looked at it as the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
So you're gonna have to see, sis. You're gonna have to. That's another.
I agree with you. You're saying don't mess up the districts because people move. Florida got how much more million people since the last census?
I'm saying lock it in and make it to maybe every 25 years, every 50 years or something like that. It should not be every time Congress sits down.
I agree with that. Maybe it's a little bit too often. 10 years is the redistricting fights.
Because I'm one of those guys that every vote should count. I'm one of those guys that's like, hey man, we can even do away with the electoral college, but that's not realistic right now.
I'm
you know
not
what
saying
I mean?
I disagree, but that's a tough one. Because I
wonder where Brother Links.
What would happen, DL? If they got rid of the electoral college, do you think it'd be easier or harder for people to vote?
I think it would be more weight on the vote. I think it'd be more pressure to go vote. I think the neighbors are like, you better go vote. But here's the thing, they could try to do that, but it's gonna be bogged down in the courts.
Oh, your IDs don't match. Goodbye. Oh, all of a sudden, no, ma'am, you're at the wrong precinct. Oh no, you think you're at the right precinct. Keep voting. Oh no, your vote is discounted.
You're absolutely correct. But guess what? There'll be organizations, there'll be people helping those folks, and it just be like we do overseas. There'll be people at every voting place making sure. Now, what do you mean? Let's see that. No, that is that person. No, this is the correct voting place. Okay, and another thing too.
Have major infrastructure overhaul.
Or maybe we should be allowed to vote for a whole week. Maybe election day should be a national holiday. There's tons of ways to get around this.
But they're not gonna vote it once it becomes plural. They're gonna make sure they win. They're not gonna give you a holiday.
But they being the Republicans or the Democrats and Republicans play, like you said, they play by the same rules. They do the same things, both of them. So that's you got to remove that from the political process, and that's the only way I see it. Is that the perfect answer? I don't know, but I think we should definitely try something. And I'm curious to hear what Brother Link's three things are.
Yeah, what would you want us to do universally, Links?
I'm definitely with DL on term limits. They got to go. There was a group some years ago called GOOH, Get Out Our House. That were really trying to push that. That would do a number in the country. I'm also in agreement with making voting easier. I don't know if it's a day, if there is we're in an age of technology. There's got to be a way with technology, with now blockchain technology, that they could do voting securely. That I could do it from my.
Hold on 1 second. Yes, Queen Regina's here. I got to get her on, y'all. I got about 30 minutes, y'all. Go ahead, finish your thoughts. Sorry.
Yeah. And then I'm in agreement with Andrew. There's got to be equal funding across the board. Education wise, my wife's a teacher, and I know what happens with funding. Again, they will give more to one school than another. There has to be equity across the board in funding I'm saying, for education.
If some of this was possible, they would have been done it. You get what I'm saying? Like,
it's possible they don't want to do it because it takes away their money. It is possible.
It takes away the dependence on government. It takes away a lot of things. But Queen Regina, for you to make a special appearance, darling, I got to get you involved. How are you?
Okay, how are you? Happy New Year.
This is like the first. Have you been up here before? Okay, long time. I feel like I haven't seen you
when you first started. You know, I'll
yes,
be in
probably
that
like
check.
a year ago or something like that. How have you been?
I have been wonderful, you know, doing my thing in my sector.
Yay, so happy to have you. And I'm glad you have been so active in the chat. You're like, get him straight, do this.
Yes, and you know, I did that with the takeoff. Because like I said, I live in Atlanta, Georgia, so I had a lot more feedback to give in that situation. And if you ever do a show on the YSL.
Oh yes, I think once the verdict comes, because I see I haven't followed it like as deeply, so definitely I would need an expert to kind of guide me. All I see is poor, I say poor, but Young Thug looking like a poor thing in the courtroom, like all these people all of a sudden giving him up. But nonetheless, let's stay on topic.
Okay,
so what do you think about this whole Kevin McCarthy and everything we've been talking about?
Okay, I'm a nonpartisan, and I ran for office in Augusta, Georgia, for county commissioner in 2003. And when I did that, there were 5 black men, 5 white men on our county commissioner, but they were still like putting in a lot of football stadiums, building parks near highways. And so I just thought it needed a balance of feminine energy. Like I would never, the park that I was taking to my kids, I just didn't think they were safe next to that highway. And I didn't think we had to keep having to pay all this money for these football stadiums. So I, you know, gave it my best shot, but I knew I couldn't win. It was my platform that you need women in office. That's all. That's it. And that was 2003. And I just love to see the balance that is changing. What I meant by Iowa, Suzette, is that it should not even be relative in choosing a president, because it doesn't represent the country. It's a rural, the whole state is rural.
Yes, true.
And the whole state majority is white.
Yes, very. So and you think even with the caucus system, they shouldn't be in the first 2 or 3 caucuses to determine who's going to be president? Okay.
You know, so that you and I are really on the same page in that about Barack.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying moving the dynamics now is necessary.
Okay.
Because they're making a lot of money. You know, because they know Chuck Grassley and all those old people. We don't want them. We want it into a neutral area. South Carolina is the best, but it's still the dirty South. As far as you really do have to change the minds of white people, but it is diverse.
Yeah, much more diverse than Iowa. Point well taken. Yeah, because I've just been reading a lot more about why Joe Biden is trying to change the order. We've always had Iowa first, then New Hampshire, then South Carolina.
Young supporters are pushing that.
That's what it is. What you're saying, the progressive wing is pulling everything.
56.
Yeah.
Even I don't want Iowa first, but you know, I loved when they gave us Obama. But we shouldn't have to put all our eggs into that basket.
Right. Understood.
Okay.
Understood.
So gerrymandering. Let me explain gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is drawing a fictitious circle or snake like they did in North Carolina for the politician to choose the voters. Not the voters to choose the politician. So what both sides do, but Republicans do it very racist. They will draw, and I'm going to use North Carolina for an example. They took what looked like a snake across this district that chiseled out black votes and pushed that hard racist, you know, made them the voters that they choose. Because in that little snakish area, if they would not have cut out that snake across that map, they would have had to talk about platforms and ideas. This left them to talk about bathrooms. Come on, somebody. You all remember this bathroom issue in North Carolina. And they don't have to talk about Social Security. They don't have to talk about infrastructure. They don't have to talk about...
you're saying those issues that are what they call it, like social issues or the name that they say.
They don't have to govern. That's what it is. They don't have to take on they don't have to lead. They don't have to take on the tough issues and govern.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they got the votes. They got we know we got the votes.
Yeah.
So that's
that small little district, this is what they care about. So this is what I'm going to talk about. Yeah.
And they push that panic and alarm and they're coming to get your kids instead of governing. And that's gerrymandering.
Culture war. Thank you. Culture war issues. My bad.
Yes. Redistricting is that over time, some buildings have been torn down, some buildings have been built up. There's more people have come in, so you take that into consideration and just split a district to make it two. You're not taking anything away from redistricting. But gerrymandering is very, it's undemocratic, small d.
Diabolical.
Yeah. Yes. I think we're on the same page now, DL, because I think it's a gerrymander, not just the redistricting, because I think, again, districts do change in size. You got people, remember, like, House is based on population. So you have states, every census, that lose a seat in the U.S. House because more people move to a different state. So you have to redistrict, because if more people move to Houston or Texas and more people move to Florida, why does Iowa have the same amount of U.S. House reps as we have? Because we have a bigger population. It's population based. So it goes hand in hand with the movement of peoples in the country. So I hear what you're saying, but I do think that what Queen Regina just brought up, the gerrymandering of the district, is what is the problem, which is I'm snaking out. I leave Black people's influence out of here. I'm only getting this nice row of people I want who hopefully think like me or would think I'm the best guy, and leave out all these other districts all around it and put all the Black people in one and let one Black person represent throughout the state instead of multiple, because every Black voter is put in one district, that kind of thing. And then you have good people, that happens in Miami, running against each other. We eat our own all the time because you can't win in another district, or those people all really do live in the same district. So you got people who won the county commissions or on the city commissions. Now, when it comes to Congress, they got to run against each other. We just had a bloodbath recently with some really good people. I was friends with all of them, but only one can get the congressional seat because of the way they cut it. So it pits us against each other, and it leaves us without influence in many other districts. So that's why we wanted to make sure we clarify gerrymandering versus redistricting.
So here's the thing, and thanks for clarifying that for me, because I mean I understand the two better now, but I always looked at them kind of the same because I knew what they were doing. Yeah. But I do understand, it's like, because my thing was like, well, let's give more time between when we do it and let's get rid of this one altogether. But I get it. But here's the thing. Imagine with all this, moving the lines around. Imagine if we understood truly and participated in the game. Yeah, what they're doing, and we're talking about how the Republicans do it, but the Democrats do the same thing. And like we're Black folks, so we talk about how it affects us. But they were doing this against, trying to write out the Italians or the Armenians, Irish, or the Koreans, German, or the Irish, or the German. So this is just how they play the game. And when I talk to our people, especially, I'm like, listen, y'all, instead of sitting here crying about how the game is unfair, let's master the game. Let's send our people there with a mission to redraw this line. And this, again, here was the perfect example right here. Republicans backed themselves into a corner. If we had more Republicans up there, they're like, you know what? We'll do this. We'll step up. We'll help out. But you're going to have to redraw this line.
Yeah, interesting.
You know what I mean?
Let me jump in with a couple, and I'm gonna give everybody a round robin. I see you back there, Reese. I see you back there, Links. We're gonna have a good final kind of everybody say what they got to say moment.
And one last thing I almost forgot, because it was about Ross Perot, and that whole thing, right? That was a personal vendetta. That was a battle between Ross Perot and George Bush, George H.W. Bush and Ross A. Perot. That's what that was. Ross knew what he was doing.
I gotta take a bio break, so I'm gonna bring everybody up and just drop me down for a quick.
Okay, got you. So that was just Ross Perot doing their thing. That was a big money play. You know what I mean? But I agree with Brother Links. I think that it would be better to have a third party, a viable third party. I would like to see 2 more parties, to be honest with you, to force these groups to work together to get things done, to get Americans to do the people's business. Unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to get there. This Freedom Party thing or Forward Party from with Andrew Yang, that looks good right now, but I mean, we'll just have to see how it plays out. So, so who you think will be that third party, Brother Links?
As I said, I don't know who it is, but I honestly believe that it's going to be a union of both Democrats and Republicans, both those who are center of both parties. That's what I see, because as I look at the country and what's happening, the country is moving further left, further right. The pendulum has to swing back, center at some point, and we have to work together. If not, there's just no way forward. As you're talking about Andrew Chang, AI is out here. The life as we know it is going to be changing here so much in 5 to 10 years, and that is 5 to 10 years is that, and if we don't move from this self and aggrandizement type of lifestyle into, and I'm not socialist in any shape or form. I don't believe in socialism, but I believe in conscious capitalism. If we can move into a place of conscious capitalism where we're able to benefit, be a benefit to one another, that's what we're going to have to do. If we don't, we are, I said, we're all of us are in a slow drain, and somebody just has to pour some drain and we're done.
Right. And to your point with finance, campaign finance reform, Sister Queen, could I ask you what, just ballpark figures, what does it cost to run for a county seat in Georgia? Is it like extremely expensive? Is it doable?
Well, it was in 2003 when I ran, and I didn't take any allow anyone to really give me money because I was new into politics, and I want my platform about putting parks in safe places and having 50% of the world speak women. And but I noticed as soon as I started running, I was Black, I was young, and a lot of people started coming to me with their agendas and money, and I refused it because it was kind of spooky to me because I was young. And they held these parties in rooms, and I'm like,
sounds very familiar.
And that brings me to Brother Reese. Like, Brother Reese, because from the blood of the dragon, bro. What are your thoughts on the way people fundraise, and what do you think that means? I know you're not real big on politics, but I'm pretty sure you understand the concept of, I'm gonna give you this money to get you this seat. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, I don't really know how that goes, but I'm a corporate bartender over here in Philly. I know every politician in this state, city, state, block, and federal, and Camden, New Jersey. And there's a common denominator with all of them, man. They all have this plastic smile that stays glued to their face. They all just seem so damn generic. I try to have organic conversations with them, and my mom rubs elbows with these people, and I've been arguing with her for decades about it. Like, it's a cesspool of evil like you couldn't imagine. I could tell you stories about whose kids are gay under the table, whose wife pinched me on the ass when I was serving them drinks, and all this madness. You see what I mean? But as far as the money goes, there's a lot of corrupt money flying around. There's stuff that I know that I could never talk about on this show. I play ball with Camden politicians. I know who the next 2 mayors of Camden are going to be, because I know how they're going to get there, and I'm watching what they're doing. You see what I'm saying? And it's all about power. That's all it is. Power and control, man. Nobody really cares about us, the small folk. None of them, man. These real estate tycoons don't care about us either. Think about what a landlord is. The lord of your land.
You live in this house 30, 40 years. You done bought it twice, but does he give it to you? Hell no. He gets rich off the next person that moves in when you move out or die. You see what I'm saying? That's what this is about. This is dog eat dog. That's what it is now. There's no way in the hell that the unity that we would need, right, to put some type of order to all of this is not going to happen. There's too much mental illness and craziness going on. The human race was tested in the last 2 years, and we failed. There are dark days coming, brother. Dark days. Get you some solar devices and some emergency food, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Or move to a red state and get you one of those. You see what's over my shoulder? That's all you need. That'll get you everything you need. Solar devices,
go to Florida.
Water, food. Yeah, come on down to Florida. Welcome back.
Mr. Reese, I would like to make one last statement about politics before I leave. And this is to the men, whether you're Democrat, Republican, or independent. I'm 56. I'm no longer of childbearing age. Young people are involved in politics, a lot of young women. And even being the age that I am, and I cannot bear children anymore, I cringe hearing men talking about abortion and making that their sole issue while paying for abortions. If Republicans can get off that rhetoric because they're paying for abortions,
they won't.
They're going to keep losing women voters, even my age or younger, because we don't want to hear that. It's a tough decision if you've been violated. Just to throw that out so nonchalant, keep his baby even if he violated you. That's off-putting to women. That's her choice if she's violated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sister Queen, I hear you, and that's a whole nother conversation because I got a ton of pushback, not on that particular the violation part, but I got a ton of pushback because the numbers show something different. But that's definitely a different conversation.
And that was my thing. In my little round robin.
Okay, Queen. Well, I'm so happy you came up, sis. I feel like I haven't seen your face in forever. Thank you for spending time with me. I appreciate you, darling. Thank you for your insight as well. Happy New Year. You know you're always welcome over here.
Okay.
All right. Take care,
Love
darling.
you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, you too. Reese, final comments. Reese was going deep. Reese said he know it's a matrix out here. What y'all think? I hear you, brother. It is. We playing chess and they playing checkers or vice versa. So what do we do? I feel like there's a lot more we can say about this topic in the now. I know there's so many things we need to pay attention to. But I don't know. The top three, Reese, you want to do your top three? I saw some really good suggestions of what it is Black folks need to, regardless of party, hopefully settle in on or focus on as far as an agenda. Shout out to Cody is King. I see you, Cody. Welcome. Things. Yes. Life of Cash. Fighting a perennial culture war works wonders, right? When you keep talking about the same stuff. Karen says Marjorie Taylor Greene will be running everything. Good luck, Kev. There's so many other. Like I said, I want to talk about this moment. Let me just add it to the stream. The choke back heard around the world.
I got to go see that. I missed that.
This is what happened, guys. At one point, Representative Mike Rogers attempted to lunge at, it looked like, as it was reported, Matt Gaetz, who voted present enough to deny McCarthy a majority. This was on the 14th vote. Cameras caught another member-elect, Richard Hudson, grab Rogers, restraining him by putting his hand over his mouth and trying to pull him back. Listen, the gangster came out, the Alabama came out on Mr. Rogers. When I looked up his profile, he looks like, no, he wasn't cheering. Sorry, that was a bad edit. He looked stunned. Like it was just a moment where we were all like, what just happened? This is his profile picture for the congressional website, Mike Rogers. Yeah, he kind of turned it up. I guess it was that time of night. Everybody was upset. People were ready to, be done with everything.
All I got to say to that, Suzette, all I got to say to that is gangsters make the world go round.
Somebody need to say, Matt Gaetz, let's go. What you really trying to do right now? We can't be held hostage by you forever. So I thought that moment was very poignant. It was, like I said, captured, seen around the globe. Everybody, when I saw it happen live, I was like, oh my gosh, because it happened in the little corner of the screen. Because C-SPAN, until it got a speaker, C-SPAN had free reign of the actual chamber. So this is the most we've seen of who sat next to who, and who, when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was talking to who was it? Was it Jim Jordan or some other people who had really been mean and downright evil to her, and all these people that were kind of gathering together, having conversations. Normally the speaker orders how much a camera can see, but because we didn't have any speaker for this week, we got to see so much. I was like, this is how it should be all the time. I need to see who's sitting next to who and who's talking to who.
Well, like, you said somebody was talking to AOC?
Yes.
I'd have been talking to AOC. I'd have been talking to AOC.
Holla, 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 holla.
Not like that, deal. The other unsung hero I wanted to point out is this lady. She was the presiding officer as there was no speaker. Miss Cheryl Johnson. Thank you for your service, a civic leader who civil servant, 20 years on the job, is the current clerk of the House of Representatives. They make sure everything is done hopefully in order, according to the rules, recorded properly, votes are taken properly, all of that. She looked stressed out a couple times when the yays and the nays were very close, so she had to do the roll call. But shout out to her, Howard University graduate, and was the presiding officer trying to keep it together while there was so much mayhem going on. So final thoughts, guys. You can let me know anything that you wanted to comment on, whether it's the last little almost punch in the mouth or can't call it that.
I'm just gonna put my conspiracy. I'm gonna put my conspiracy hat on real quick.
Go ahead,
could it be possible that those that back McCarthy may work with the Democrats to help Gates out the door with his minor problem?
Well,
I think that problem takes care of itself. I think the Republicans are just gonna, wait for the shoe to drop. They already know what time it is. You know what I mean? Gates, Trump. There's some Democrats out there that got some issues as well. But
I'm telling you, some of these people have some holding on, stick-to-itiveness power that you think they're going to win, and they don't. So you think he's going to go away on his own based on the charges?
It's a state crime. Yeah, I think Florida going to deal with him. They can hold off these charges as long as they think they can, but eventually, man, it's already started, and it's already people. It's already people telling them. It's people already telling on him. They already got snitches. They already got they've built the case. You know what I mean? And again, it was the guy, the guy that's doing most of the telling. I forget his name, but he was one of the local officials down here.
Oh yeah. That guy who was also
who got arrested and all that. That dude's already telling. It's
he
much
gonna
more.
Snitch. He want less time. He gonna snitch. Absolutely.
He done already snitched. So it just they listen. The feds are the best at coming to get you, but when the state has a solid case, they just get all the information, they run everything down, and when they come get you, it's a wrap. So it's nothing that they're going to be able to do for him on a federal level. He's dealing with state charges.
So you think he's on borrowed time right now? Matt Gaetz will not be will be a non-factor probably in 2024.
I just wonder, are they going to try to help it along? I mean, and bring some semblance of balance and order back to the party. You get one of the biggest mouths out. That may put some fear in some other folks.
It's valid. They might because it's complete disarray right now. I mean, sometimes you got to put your foot down on somebody's neck to get everybody else to get in line.
I'm telling you, would he be so blustery if he knew that was coming? I'm like, bruh, you are singing like a jailbird song right now. If you're not careful, but he don't care.
He know he threw. It
so
don't
he
matter.
just go down on his sword, guns blazing.
House of Cards.
Might as well. Might as well.
I'm King Kong.
Right. All right, King Kong.
He right here. He like, I'm going down anyway. I'm taking all y'all with me. Okay. So Matt Gaetz knows what time it is and he doesn't care. This is what Cody said, man. Gates is a G. Okay. Yes. Mr. Rogers said it's not a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Exactly. Yes. Gates spoke to AOC about Dems saving the GOP. No, I didn't think they should have, and I'm glad they didn't. They need to figure out and get their people in line. And no matter how you put it, this needs order. Governance needs order. I know people don't like to take orders and the system is terrible, but you need it for us to be able to govern. Okay. Final thoughts. Go ahead, Link. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I'm done. You know, I
So
appreciate.
Gates was your prediction. Any
Gates
others?
McCarthy out in a year, and it's going to be some craziness up until the 2024 election, and then you'll probably start to see some balance. I say after the 2024 election, that Trumpism will be dead completely.
Ooh.
Yeah.
One can hope. No, just kidding. I just see what happens. Good.
Dead
Okay, politically. That's what we mean. That's what I meant, the theology. If you
I'm
want to
just
call
saying,
it
you don't
that.
want to get clips. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They get clipped the wrong way.
I just mean you don't have to fly down to Mar-a-Lago anymore and kiss the ring and go through this and always be talking about how great he is. Even Kevin McCarthy, his speech thanked Mr. Trump for making phone calls and all this, always being in. I was like, bro, we still doing this. So interesting predictions. Thank you, Links, for coming through. Have a great one. You know you're always welcome. Can't wait to have you back. All right, take care of yourself, my brother. Take care. Good to see you. Reese, final predictions or thoughts today?
Wow, this is a lot. I don't have any predictions, but I do want to share this though. I came across a different set of information, some different information than what most of us have quoted up here and what most people have been led to believe almost my whole life. It's really weird. It's disturbing. It bothers me. It just seems like that there's a political war going on much bigger than we think between those people in those ranks. And it's hard to understand because there's so many lies being told. You can't bottle it all up. So we're going to always be left in darkness and arguing amongst each other. I don't really care about that stuff. It's fun. But the real answers I don't think we'll ever have. So I just think everybody just needs to prepare for like some real chaos because you've seen that it can happen. The stuff that happened in the past 2 years, I think, was just a small test of what could be possible in the near future. I'm not sure. We'll see who wins this little political war. But I'll take you out here with some Game of Thrones analogy. I'm going to tell you like this. Valyria was thriving. Culture, industry. It was the envy of the world, the richest nation in Westeros. But Daenerys Targaryen, a 14-year-old girl, had a dream that Valyria was doomed and it would be an ultimate doom for everyone who stayed there. So she warned everyone to leave. No one listened to her. But her and a few family members and about 12 dragons left. And lo and behold, 12 years later, the entire island of Valyria blew up with 12 remaining survivors. I am scared of America. I ain't scared of God, but I'm scared of America. I'm leaving. I'm having a dream. And the dream says this place is going down. So next time I'm on this panel, it might be from Istanbul somewhere or Greenland.
Lord of mercy. Let's go. Reese from Philly, the Dragon.
Love all of y'all, man.
Blessing us as always. The analogies, I love them. DL, and then there were two. How you gonna top that? First of all, let me say thank you to Alexander on the Cash App. Support the stream, y'all. Send a super chat if you like what you saw. If you enjoyed today's convo, just like it first and foremost. Please share it. Secondly, leave a comment. Thirdly, and if you want, send a gift. I appreciate it. He says, Happy New Year and a 23 for 2023. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for that generosity there, Alex. I really do. Thank you. All right. So, DL, I know we can wax philosophical for a good little while. So I guess predictions. What would you like to end on?
We could try predictions. I mean, I have no prediction right now. I mean, you look at the state of the Republican Party. I've never seen anything like this, in my life. And you go back in history. I mean, I've read stories, but it's one thing to read about something; it's another to live through it.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's blood in the streets in the Republican world. And for me, like, now is the time to buy. Now is the time to get on board. Now is the time to get in here when people need you. It's best to be there when they need you, and use that to your full advantage. That's what I'm personally doing. I encourage all folks, especially folks, African Americans, to at least explore the option. Just kind of get out there.
Deal. If there was no Trump, it would be easier.
But there is no Trump. He, like you said, politically, he is falling off. He is down to that 15, 20%. Your boy, McCarthy, he's a straw man. He proved right now that he does not have the leadership ability. He does not hold power.
He doesn't have the voter confidence, or nobody really thinks should be there and don't like him anyway.
And that's why we don't know what's going to happen. There's blood in the streets, right? There's opportunity for everyone right now within the Republican Party, especially if you're a person of color. So I think Trump is not an issue right now. You know what I mean? Especially with what's going on with the Department of Justice and everything else, Trump is going to become less and less an issue. All he's going to do is continue to bring grief to the Republican Party. And again, I said this on PBD's podcast.
Do you think Trump will get convicted of anything related to January 6th, hiding documents at his house, any of that? Do you think anything sticks, and does he get to run for president?
The January 6th thing is going to be difficult. I don't know if they can prove it. The fact that the feds aren't on that case with January 6th is a state, you know what I mean? It was like the Southern District of New York is doing it, not the feds. I think
we got three. We got several, actually more than three. So you have New York with one, you have Georgia is doing another for election, and you have a special counsel that the DOJ, Department of Justice, has appointed. So right. Yeah, there is a federal investigation.
Is Trump going to be dealing with, is Trump going to get indicted and then convicted of crimes? Yes. And I think that swarms around the documents. There's no getting around that. That's national security.
Taking classified documents to his house against laws that should have been at his personal residence.
Shouldn't have been at a personal residence. That's definitely going to be a problem. How did they know those things were there? There's people in his inner circle that was telling
they told on him. Oh, I believe that.
There's people in the inner circle because they understand how. Listen, people. I'm gonna say this real quick. Y'all don't understand. Most Americans don't understand how serious America takes national security and those protected secrets, those documents. Right? If he weren't former president of the United States, Donald Trump would be gone. He'd be gone just for having one of those documents. You would get disappeared. I talked about this on my platform, me and Mandrell. Y'all see it in the movies. There really are people. There really are ghosts in our military apparatus.
The fact that people like Edward Snowden are still alive is kind of strange because usually, I don't want to laugh about it, but
they want him alive. There are a lot of people who disappear. We call it, they're gone to Tahoe. There are a lot of people who go to Tahoe and you never see them again. So, we got black sites all over the planet. Is Donald Trump going to have to answer for that? Yes. Is he going to be, I don't think he's going to run for president. Even if he does, let's say that he is eligible to run for president, I don't think Trump can win a primary. Like if the primary was tomorrow, DeSantis would beat Trump in the primary. Trump would then run as an independent. He would take that 15 to 20% of the Republican vote.
Ooh, and the Dems win.
So, and again, it goes all the way back to the disarray that's right now in the Republican Party.
A third party spoiler. Like
he's a Trump spoiler. He's just Trump. And I said this on Patrick Bet Davis. I sent in a super chat. Patrick Bet David read the super chat and he agreed.
I'm getting into him now. Thanks to you. Thank you.
Please go out there. Hey y'all, check out Patrick Bet David. He's a good guy. He's a moderate guy. He's middle of the road. He's more conservative than liberal. He's a guy who will listen. You know what I mean? He's not locked in ideology on anything. He will listen. So, shout out to Valuetainment over there. But I will say this. I have no idea what's going to happen over the next 2 years with reference to the Republican Party. But I am happy that the Republicans are going to be forced to work with the Democrats if they want to get anything done. And they don't have enough. They're not enough. They can't hold the government hostage. They can't hold the budget hostage. They don't have the numbers. They are forced to work with the Democrats. Yeah. So, and we'll see. And the Democrats, I'm not saying they got it all together, but at least Pelosi has them all in line. Yeah, you know what I mean? Their leadership has them in line.
Yeah, we'll see who really runs ish as if it was, I don't know, the playground. Like that's what I feel like I watched over the last week. It was definitely a lot of jockeying for power. So even though, like I say, it's a title that has been bestowed, a lot of the power has left that speaker's chair. And so we'll see who really will be wielding the power in the crucial votes that are right around the corner coming up. Is this a prelude to what's going to be happening? Oh my gosh, I can't stomach it. I'll stop watching news. I'll just read my news if I have to deal with it all every day.
Black folks in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, Florida, and Nevada. I would challenge you all to register as independents, and I would challenge you all to seek out the best option when it comes to these parties. Who is going to give you the most bang for your buck? And I would say do that over the next 2 election cycles and see if the black vote becomes a real issue. Because we are the most, the black vote is very, very valuable right now, and we just giving it away.
I agree, except pushback. Florida has a closed primary. If you are not registered as a Republican or a Democrat, you don't vote in August. You don't get to pick who goes to November. So if you're independent, you don't get to vote in the primary. That's the only thing. You have to pick a side in order to vote in the primaries.
Even if you don't, and that's why I did pick a party here in Florida, but even if you don't pick a side, you still got that vote in November, and it counts. Whoever that person is, it still counts. My thing is this, it's a show of force. We have no leader. There's a leadership vacuum at the top of the black vote. There's no one person, Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton or Brock. No one. Yeah. There is a void.
Yeah.
So if people could come together as a bunch of just independent thinking mind, there's people who are smart, and we're going to say, you know what? We're going to place our vote behind this person. If you could do that for 2 cycles, people are going to take the black community serious, at least politically. That's my theory.
I love it. We could go so further down the road with this, but y'all, we got to go. Appreciate you, DL Saint. Check out his channel. If your team replay, hit the like button, and please subscribe. DL, are you almost there?
I'm there. Oh, I'm there. I'm there. All I gotta do is do the info. I'm there. Thank you. Yeah. I got there. And so I am eligible to be monetized. I just have to fill out, click on the stuff and do whatever, do the paperwork.
Yes,
they say it could take up to 30 days. We made it. Thank y'all so much. Thank everyone. Half of my audience came from this platform. Suzette, thank you so much. Thank you so much. The speakers be rocking with me, man, and and the other half comes from Fresh and Fit. So you can imagine what's going on
night and day, sunshine and rain, if you will. But I appreciate y'all. Support DL, please. If you are unfamiliar with his platform, go over there. I'm proud of you. RM, I think this is the best word, para margules, to end on. Do you know what this is, DL?
I don't. What is that?
It's a reference to things that were said as a greeting or kind of as a goodbye. I forget what it means, but it's from Game of Thrones. I know that.
Oh, see, I'm not a big Game of Thrones.
I love Game. That's why recently rock. But
I got something for you for always just being there and rocking me. I got something for you.
Yes. Appreciate it. I'm feeling that kind of mood. I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do later. But I appreciate you as always, DL. Always great insight and wonderful conversation whenever you're up here. And thank you to all my guests. Thank you to Reese. Thank you to Links. Thank you to Queen Regina. Thank you, Andrew, for the time that we were able to have you on. Everybody who supported, thank you so much for the love on the Cash App as well as the Super Chats. I really appreciate you, DL. I'm going to drop you down. Hang tight real quick. I appreciate everybody. Again, I have good shows coming up next week, Monday, Tuesday. Going to cover the Tyler Lewis case. This is a brother who lost his life going out with friends to an off-campus university party up there in Buffalo, and someone hurt him, ended his life. No one's been arrested, and the family still wants questions. I'm going to have his, I think it would be his sister on. A representative for the family will be on with me. Maybe his uncle, maybe his sister, but it will be a representative for the family going to talk about the case with me on Monday. I can't wait to bring more light to the Tyler Lewis, justice for Tyler Lewis, because somebody needs to be arrested. It reminds me of the young lady who went to Mexico, and we still don't know, people not being charged, and people are kind of, all of the people who were in his friend group that was with him at the house party have lawyered up. So many details I want to kind of discuss to bring more light to that case. I also want to talk about being Haitian in Miami. I'm going to have an expert from the Haitian Chamber of Commerce here with me on Tuesday. A lot of you who are not from South Florida don't understand the big impact and cultural influence, political influence. Last couple of statewide officers that ran are from Haitian descent, right? First generation American. And we have a lot of influence here in Miami from the Haitian diaspora. And I want to talk to them about it on Tuesday. And if you are not sub, just y'all, please, I'm 50-50. My views come from half sub people, half people that just come through and come check it out. But, you know, ain't no shame in the game. Go ahead and sub. If you're watching on Facebook, go on over to YouTube. Just Google Suzette Speaks, my name right there, and you'll see my channel and hit the subscribe. Thank you to everybody that support, watch, like, and share. Until next time, remember to hit the like button. Can't wait to see you guys again soon. Thank you so much, RM. Everybody working so hard. You too have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for your support, and I appreciate you watching. See you soon. Bye, guys.